understand these feet to stand on. Give me a safe place to land, but I'll never let go again. It's a trick of the mind, seeing into futures unmet. We never know the kinds of people and the life that lies ahead. But is it ever enough to make the choice to stay and fight for the unlived life? Or the splinter light coming through in everything. Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. And in the moments when you're breathless and you're drowning underneath the weight of broken dreams, if there's a single thing I learned from all my suffering, that's never fair. But it doesn't have to take you under. Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. Is there virtue in this pain? Is there something here to gain? I could say I'd be different.
Hey guys, so that was a video that is from my friend Meg. That's what we're doing this for. I met Meg in high school. She was a musician and a hippie. We we became really good friends on our mutual love of the Beatles and weird indie films from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, specifically Harold and Maude, and our love of Muppets. And her and I even played a couple cover shows. And when I heard everything that was going on, I felt kind of worthless, and then realized that while I can't help out in a normal way, I can use the resources that I have with podcasting and the friendships that I've built here at Geekscape to try to do something to help. So thank you for tuning in. It's going to be 3 hours of fun podcasts. It's not all going to be dour. Fun podcasts. And Meg's husband has sent me a bunch of videos of her performing in the house throughout the time that they were going through the last 7 years. There is a donation link in the description pretty much anywhere you're watching, so that you can go and donate to the GoFundMe page. Coming up, we're going to do an episode of One Hit Thunder about the Four Non Blondes, but right before that, I just want to throw up one last song from Meg, one of the 3 videos that Jason, her husband, sent me, and then we're going to dive right into some One Hit Thunder. So strap in and get ready to have some fun.
truths we all know inside.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever. And it makes me wonder, is it just a blunder, or is it one hit thunder?
Hey, and welcome back. So the fun thing about this live stream is you're going to get to see the real behind the scenes of how a podcast is recorded as well. So I'm bringing on Chris and Jonathan real quick. And we're going to do a fun little thing where we're going to count to 3 and clap to synchronize our recordings real quick, and then just take off like a normal recording of One Hit Thunder.
Oh,
So,
you don't want to do that off the air when we're recording locally. Just
no, why do that?
okay.
Let's do this.
Yeah,
real
this
quick.
is how
Here
the
we go.
sausage is made, everybody.
All right, everyone, get their hands ready, and
This is really
get 3, 2, 1. Close
that is
enough.
not going to work.
We'll figure it out. All right,
Okay.
Chris, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Welcome, Jonathan. You are here to talk about Four Non-Blondes, What's Up? Which, first question, do you like this song? Are you a fan of this song?
I am, and I do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think that I also liked this song at the time. The problem with this song is that this has become a karaoke go-to if you're at a karaoke bar. And there has never, ever, ever in the history of humankind been a good performance of What's Up by Four Non-Blondes at karaoke. It has been painful, probably caused me to leave the bar that I'm at anytime someone has done this. So that is my major problem with this song.
It's also like a 4+ minute song too, and I think that anybody who goes to karaoke and doesn't keep the ball moving and just does like a 4-minute song, yeah, that better be a damn good performance. I think karaoke is great when everybody keeps it 3 minutes and under.
Yeah,
Just
and it's also
keep it moving.
The song in general, just from the start, I could see how this song rubs people the wrong way. A lot of the songs that we cover on here are very polarizing. People will either love them or despise them. I kind of like this song, but I can totally understand why someone would absolutely hate this song. Linda Perry's vocal delivery in this song is grating at times. It is frustrating and aggravating in a lot of ways. I kind of think it's fun. I think it's a very fun delivery. It's, if nothing else, it is memorable.
So I gotta ask, did either one of you listen to the full album? Because
yes,
because Four Non-Blondes, so Four Non-Blondes has a very similar career trajectory to one of my favorite bands from this show, New Radicals, in the sense that they recorded one album, broke up before there was ever a second album, and their lead singer went on to have a much more successful career writing songs for other people. I have to say that listening to that album today, it is, to steal a phrase that Chris likes to use, it is the most 1991 album I think I could have ever listened to.
Yeah, it is. And that was those couple of years like produced like bands that I loved. You know, I've been wanting to do the Spin Doctors on this show. As soon as y'all make it 2-hit wonder, like I'm on. Like I want to talk Spin Doctors. But yeah, I think that this is one of those 5 songs from this era where it just immediately transports you to where you were when you heard this song. And especially that Tarzan yell singing, that's like it just sounds like the Tarzan like she just goes off. And I like the vocals. I listened to the whole album, and I kind of agree with Linda Perry when they made this album and she knew the song was going to be a hit, and she told the record label, like, let's please not focus, like don't even put the song on the album. They really cleaned up the song and gotten rid of all the imperfections that she loved about it. And so she
there
loved,
were more there were more
Yeah,
like weird things about this
yeah
song?
She wrote this song in her bedroom while she had just gotten a puppy, and she could hear the other member of the song of the band, Krista. She was the bass player at the time, and she could hear Krista having sex down the hallway because they were roommates, and she was playing the song, and Krista runs down the hallway and says, "Hey, what is that? You got to bring that into practice. That was really good." And like Linda Perry likes stuff that is, Velvet Underground and Zeppelin and all that stuff that had like weird stuff in the songs, and she liked the imperfections, and the producer and the record label kind of ironed all that stuff out. And Linda Perry was really unsatisfied with both this song and how it came out and the album. And they did start recording a second album, but she was like, "I'm not going through this again. Y'all are taking everything that's interesting about the music and getting rid of it." And that was like a big blow to her. And she knew that if we come out with this song, which was the second single, no one remembers the first single, to prove her right, this is going to dominate the album and no one's going to remember. We need to build slow. And this song came out, and that's all anybody looked to them for, and no one remembered any of their music, and they weren't a band, they were a song. And
Are you telling
she
me
was
that
right.
Are you telling me that Krista Hillhouse mid-sex went, "Hold on a second"?
It depends on how long
that
she was
beautiful
playing.
sound? What is that amazing sound I hear from down the hall when she heard, "Oh my God, do I pray?"
Yeah, I don't know who was.
I genuinely thought that
screaming
this
louder.
story was going so differently, because it started with buying a puppy.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh,
you
she
gotta
kind
read
of
this.
like the way the puppy was howling." Like, I don't
No,
understand.
but we'll get to it. But I think in 2019 or so, she did an interview with Rolling Stone, because by that point she had produced a bunch of amazingly successful songs for like Pink and Christina Aguilera and in like these pop groups, which was something else that she never thought she was going to be a part of, was pop music. She wanted to be darker and more like weird rock and roll. And she's doing this interview for Rolling Stone, and she tells this story. And yeah, Krista runs down the hallway and says, "This is amazing. You got to bring this into practice." And it was so amazing that nobody really remembers too much more that they did, which is really a shame, because her career shows that she was pretty talented, that she is really, really talented. She's still doing this, and she's still really good at it.
Well, the other thing that I want to
dominated
mention,
everything.
because you brought up the Spin Doctors, right?
I
Now,
love
like
the
the
Spin
Spin Doctors seem like the perfect band for like four non-blondes to be playing shows with. But
Mhm.
the only band that I saw in the entire Wikipedia that was mentioned that they played a show with was Primus. And I couldn't think of a more like hot water to cold water movement than going to a show to watch four non-blondes open and then be immediately followed by Primus in 91, which would have been like pre My Name Is Mud, but they're up there doing like Jerry Was a Race Car Driver at this point.
Yeah, but it was also a showcase in in San Francisco, so people were ready for that stuff.
That's
and
fair, yeah.
This is like a CMJ style, but West Coast showcase in San Francisco. And I remember in college radio going to CMJ, and just these bands are just slapped together. It was like going to South by Southwest. Like, you see people on the same bill, and you don't, unless it's a straight record label showcase, and it's just a bunch of bands getting in where they can get in. Yeah, you're gonna see people up next to each other. But that being said, like early 90s, it's a pretty eclectic stuff, man. Like,
For sure.
Kurt
They
Cobain
describe
blew
this
it all
as
open.
They describe this as neo folk, which I think, honestly, like as big as grunge was, I would say that's probably the second biggest modern rock sound in like the early 90s, was those like acoustic guitar, like kind of folk. Like, I think of like Blind Melon. I think of another band that was on the charts at this time, Soul Asylum, like
Yep.
that kind of folk influence, but like with just enough of that Seattle sound blended into it a little bit.
And I saw them both in concert, those bands that you just mentioned. Like Blind Melon, my buddy, we went to see them open for Smashing Pumpkins at the big fairgrounds outside of Austin, and we got separated from our friend Jake. And no cell phones, you can't find somebody. You get separated at a fairground. And I remember Jake freaking out, because it's also like right after, the early 90s, the AIDS epidemic, and then like realizing like we all had to read that Ryan White book in middle school. Do you remember that Ryan White book about the
Yes.
poor kid who got AIDS through a blood transfusion?
Yep.
And so, we're in middle school. We're not very smart kids, and we're definitely not aware of the truth about the epidemic. And I remember Jake claims that somebody in the pit stuck him with a needle.
Oh,
And he lost his mind. And like,
jeez.
when we finally found Jake, like an hour later, he's like, "We gotta go. I gotta figure this out. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, he thought his life was over. And he
Wow.
probably just like ended up getting poked by somebody who had something sharp in their leather jacket or something. Like, it was a rock and roll giant massive concert. Like, sorry, dude. Like, I don't know. But he was freaking out. He was like, oh no. Oh God. He thought he was.
I'll be honest.
sad now that you think
I'll be
about it.
honest. I'm freaking out a little bit right now. We need to change the subject because that is a very scary thing to think about.
But
That's
yeah,
a
it was
horror-
Blind Melon. It was
that's
Blind
a-
Melon.
That's a horror movie right there that I can't believe hasn't been made yet. Because
That's an A24 film.
yeah,
Like he's like he's wandering around the fairgrounds, and then suddenly there's like a didgeridoo sound playing, and then it like flash cuts to like an animal decaying in the woods. Like, that's how you make
Dude.
it right there.
Dude.
And it's like,
All
oh
right.
my God, this looks amazing.
This
No.
is freaking me out. I got to change the subject.
On the next
I
horror
listened
movie
to
night,
this.
we're going to talk about that.
I listened
All right,
to this album 3 times in a row while I cleaned my house before we recorded this, and I gotta say, it's a lot funkier than I expected it to be.
Well,
right?
So I want
Yeah.
to talk about that because something that blew my mind in doing research, and I'm not saying that this was Linda Perry. I'm not saying anything. I have no information on this, right? But the Four Non Blondes was formed by a guitarist, a bassist, and a drummer who formed a band as a group of friends. And then they met Linda Perry and were like, that's the vocalist we need. And somehow by the time they got to the recording studio, 2 of those 3 members were fired from being in the
Yeah,
band.
the producer was like, you're out, and you're
Wow.
out.
But he fired the guitarist because he said she wasn't a strong enough guitarist for the band, right? Afterwards, she went on to play guitar for Parliament Funkadelic, which I feel like
What?
might be a little bit more guitar involved than the Four Non-Blondes.
Yeah, she still plays for
Wow.
George Clinton. Like, it's crazy.
Wow.
She's had a
So-
long career with George Clinton for like over 15 years.
She might
So-
be in PCU for all we know.
Is there a chance that she got fired from the Four Non-Blondes and then she went, I'm gonna show you non-blondes what's up, and just played guitar nonstop every day until she joined Parliament? Is there a chance that happened, or was it just they didn't like her personality and kicked her out of the band? That sounds probably like more of what happened, right?
I mean, I think I'd like to believe the like, I'm just going to eat, sleep, and just live off guitar playing until I'm good
Yeah.
enough for
I'll
George
show
Clinton and the
you.
Parliament Funkadelics.
Yeah.
It'll do that to somebody, is be like, oh, you want to kick me out? All right, well, I'll just keep going then. And then you do, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
That's a movie in itself right there. But yeah, I guess it was just whoever was working is like, Linda Perry is the talent here. She undoubtedly has range. She undoubtedly, by her resume, can write songs. And yeah, I mean, funk on this album, and also felt like some Southern rock or something. Like, it's just this amalgamation of all these bands you're talking about. Everyone from Soul Asylum, Spin Doctors, everybody that had that. It was the early 90s.
Remember
Stuff was-
how
yeah,
popular Ani DeFranco got in the mid 90s?
Sure.
Like, huge.
Right. Yeah. It's like kind of like white people with dreads at festivals with hemp necklaces, but also who like
You're gonna
heavy
get stuck
music.
with a needle. It's gonna happen.
Stop bringing up the
You go to
needle,
enough
Chris
of
is
these
gonna
things,
pass out on
you're-
this podcast.
I'm
But
sorry
no,
to interrupt you, Chris, but you go to enough of these festivals, you're gonna get stuck.
Yeah.
this
yeah.
is, I mean, this is definitely, Chris is certainly describing the vibe of like what Woodstock 94 tried to be, for sure, which was definitely, you know, I watched that Woodstock 99 documentary, and it starts off with some footage from 94, and there's a lot of hemp necklaces and white people with dreadlocks out there. Like,
And
that
devil
was-
sticks. Lots of
and
devil
devil
sticks.
sticks. God, the devil sticks need to make a comeback. We brought up their name. I think I actually like their name less reading the real reason on it, beyond just like, I just assumed they were like, hey, we're not blonde, let's just call ourselves the Four Non-Blondes. The real reason is that they felt like a woman who had blonde hair, who had kids who had blonde hair, were judging them because they didn't fit into the California lifestyle, which, I mean, feels like a very 23 to 24-year-old perspective of how things were, when I think the reality is that woman absolutely was paying them no mind whatsoever, just moving on with their life.
I thought it was just the general vibe of like, of the the Pamela Andersons and Jenny McCarthy's and whatever of the world being the people that, were put into the limelight and were famous, and they're like, yo, we're non-blondes. And I think that probably appealed to a lot of women who weren't blonde. There is kind of a bias I notice against blondes sometimes, in my experience, in my conversations, I've noticed.
But then you got like Sheryl Crow and Liz Phair busting out really around that time too, and they were not blonde. And it makes me think what Matt was saying, and I started laughing thinking about being in your young 20s and thinking yourself different, but the level of umbrage and spite you have to everybody else in order to define who you are, you're almost hostile. So I can imagine them, like Matt said, sitting there, and the woman pays them no mind, and they're like, yeah, F you too, just out of a complete unprovoked need to be like other. And it reminded me of this time I was living in New York, and there was a street kid, his girlfriend, and he was trying to get some change, donations, cash, whatever he was on the subway, right? And so he's sparing for change, and he was trying to sell these postcards that he was calling them his art, but it was a postcard sized piece of cardboard that he'd taken off of a box somewhere up on the street somewhere. And he had used his girlfriend's makeup in some whiteout to draw on this thing. And it was some of the worst effing artwork you've ever seen in your life. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to be polite. It's almost a completely empty subway car. And he comes over and goes, hey, do you want to buy some artwork? And I was like, is that your artwork? I should have just said no right then and there. But I was trying to be nice. And I said, is that your artwork? And he goes, yeah. And he hands it to me. Don't ever take this stuff. This is like the lesson that Derek learned later when he visited LA, and he was walking down the Venice, and somebody was like, hey, you like hip hop? And just handed him the CD. And then it's like, sorry, buddy, hot potato. So homeless hot potato, as we're going to call it. And so I ended up touching this postcard with the whiteout and the eyeliner drawing on it. And he's like, pretty good, huh? And I was like, it's interesting. Right, which does not mean it is good. It means, yeah. And so I said, "Here you go." And he says, "You don't want to buy it?" And I said, "No, it's not. It's really not my thing." And he goes, "Suit yourself." And then the door opens, and they get off. And I was like, still trying to be nice and salvage, my part in the social construct. And he goes, in the social agreement. He goes, and I was like, "Hey, good luck. Take care." And he goes, fuck you, I don't need your fucking luck, I'm a genius. And she's like, his girlfriend's like, yeah, he's a genius, you're a fucking idiot, this is gonna be worth $1 million.
Wow. Hey, mate, how do you know? You didn't follow up. Maybe it is. Oh, maybe that was Banksy.
Yeah.
You ever think of that?
But when Matt was talking about, Linda Perry ended up being successful. Maybe, I don't think she carried the same amount of hostility that this guy on the subway did either, or the same amount of diseases.
I have a big question when it comes to the music video for this. Is Linda Perry steampunk?
She definitely looked it though.
No, what she's wearing is like kind of Mad Hatter, like
Hatter
bounding. It was like, because in the other videos she's wearing that Mad Hatter hat, and I'm like, yo, they need to do a video where it falls out and a bunch of rabbits pop out or something, like something with that like hat needs to go crazy. Or
the 90s were a time for wacky hats. The 90s were a time for wacky hats. What if she
removes it? And we can talk about how they did the Airheads theme song, but what if she removes the hat and she's one of those SNL characters Dan Aykroyd had? What were they called? The with the tall head. Matt, you got to know
Coneheads.
The Coneheads. Like what if she was just hiding a Conehead, and suddenly that it's like a tie-in, a 91 tie-in for the release of the movie? That would.
I agree with Chris though. 90s were prime weird hat time. One of my favorite bizarre performances is if you look up when Tribe Called Quest and Leaders of the New School performed Scenario on the Arsenio Hall show. Busta Rhymes had a giant cat in the hat, like one of those. Remember, you could buy those giant, felt cat in the hat hats. He has it on the whole time, and then it gets to his verse, and he takes off the hat, and you think something really cool is going to happen. He flips the hat upside down. And he starts doing like, "Watch as I combine you to the mind," and he's like reaching his hand into the hat, and then he just pulls it inside out, and it's a different design, and he just puts it back on his head.
That's so anticlimactic.
That's awesome.
That is anticlimactic.
The 90s weren't just a time for wacky hats. They were a time for, in specific, Cat in the Hat hats.
Yes.
That was the time for them. And
the Jinkos and everything, and having a giant mushroom running up your leg of your jeans or of your pants, like just a
What?
giant weird mushroom. Remember those Jinkos that had like the giant mushroom on the side?
no, but they sound awesome. Hey, I thought it would be what I thought you were going to say, Jonathan, would be amazing is if Linda Perry finally took off the giant hat and you know what spilled out?
More
Tinier
dreads.
little Linda Perry's.
That would be amazing. Actually, that totally destroys what I was going to say. But
What's going on?
I was going to say a giant locks of blonde hair.
Oh,
How sick would that be? if that was the big reveal years
and then
later.
she throws the hat on the ground and says she quits. That was
Yeah.
the day that the band died.
Yeah, that would be sick. But the little Linda
I'd,
Perry's popping out would be even better.
It's like Army of Darkness.
Jonathan, I want to correct you too. Let's not throw falsities out here.
Okay.
They had a song in Airheads. They did not do the Airheads theme song.
They had a song in Airheads.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
they had
covered
a
a
song
Van
in Airheads,
Halen
yeah.
song, and I just
Oh, yeah, it
recently
wasn't
watched
even their song.
Airheads. So it's during the scene where they raid the record portion of the radio station. They're grabbing all the CDs to play. It's their cover of "I'm the One" by Van Halen.
And
shows
that
up
must have
there.
been painful for somebody who like saw the commercialization of their music as something that like was counter to everything they wanted to do as an artist. That must have been that was probably a pretty difficult chapter right
I don't know. They commercialized the shit out of that band for 2 years. They were on that soundtrack. They were on the Wayne's World 2 soundtrack. They did
Mhm.
the tribute album to the Carpenters. They did the tribute album to Led Zeppelin. They were putting their stuff out there on labels. I don't totally buy that per se, but
You think
yeah.
that's part of the narrative of being like an edgy counter culture like artist? Is part
Yeah,
of you have to say that you didn't want to do that stuff just to like sell it?
For sure, because there's something like that's the thing that kind of always bugged me about the movie Singles is like, how can you make a movie like it's not like this was an indie film
No.
and you're
Cameron
like,
Crowe.
yeah, you're like, oh no, we're not part of the counterculture, but we will star in this Cameron Crowe movie. like I think that there's a little bit of, I think 92, 93, you had to pretend that you really hated the fact that you were famous. But like people who hate that they're famous don't agree to star in a movie made by like one of the biggest directors in Hollywood at that time.
Are we talking about Gen X now? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I
Because Gen
think we're
X
just
is
getting on Gen X as a
absolutely
whole.
that thing.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Like, we don't
Yeah.
want to work. We don't want to do anything. We don't want our parents to be around. We want to sneak in. You know, how many times, Chris, growing up, did you have to like figure out how to pry open a window and climb in from the outside because you didn't have a key to get home, or the key was somewhere else? You know what I mean? A lot. Like, I just remember all week being like, oh, the neighbor's going to see me climbing in to the house again because I have no idea where the key is.
Definitely. I've climbed in through at least the window once or twice because I left the key at the house when I left for school or
That's
whatever.
not a generational thing. That's a Matt Kelly thing.
That is a Matt Kelly thing.
That's a Matt Kelly thing.
I think
Well,
Gen X, it can be summed up in 2 words. You know what those 2 words are?
Is it Reality Bites? Oh.
Janine Garofalo.
Yeah.
she was in Reality Bites. I think Reality Bites sums up the Generation X more than anything else because like in any other
Don't
world,
get me started on that movie.
No, all I'll say, I've said it a million times. Watch that movie. There is zero reason for her to go with Ethan Hawke over Ben Stiller in that movie. It is a terrible choice.
But think about the value system, Matt. These are people, myself included, who when they watch Ferris Bueller were like, oh God, I love him. He's so hilarious. And you think of it, Ferris Bueller now, and he's the biggest piece of garbage. Like, he is a complete asshole.
We
Yeah,
grew
Ferris
up thinking
Bueller
Zach
is
and Zach Morris.
Dude, horrid human beings, just like complete scam artists. And you just wonder, and it's like, how did things get worse? Well, we idolized Zach Morris and Ferris Bueller, who had the value system of, they're probably going to be presidents one day, but
yeah, of
it's
course,
just the way it works. They're just grifters.
Yeah, yep, for sure. But bringing it back around to the 4 non-blondes, yeah, I don't know what else. What was going on when this song hit? It peaked at 14. That's it.
Yeah, so it peaked at 14. I want to This was one of my favorite things that I've had to write down for any of these chart notes because I just think this is really funny. So the number one song, Chris, you'll be very excited. UB40's cover of "Can't Help Falling in Love
Love
with
it.
You."
The Sliver era.
Yeah. So
It's a great
the,
film.
the number 2 song in America was Tag Team "Whoomp There It Is," but number 11 was
Yes.
95 South's "Woot There It Is."
Woot,
So-
there it is. I was a bigger fan of Woot, there it is, but somehow Whoop, there it is became the. We got to write the third. What would the third one be like?
Whoop, was it? Did one have a P?
One had
One
an
had
MP
One had a
and
P,
one had a T.
T. So
Yeah.
that leaves you a few more
Whoop.
letters that you can work with.
How
Yeah,
about-
yeah.
How about
You don't want to say wool because it's an actual word.
yeah, it has to not be a word, right? How about
Uh-huh.
Wook? There it is. Can we
take
write Wook?
Yeah.
There it is.
Now, which one was like the tag team back again? Was that in both
That was
songs?
Tag Team "Whoomp."
That's tag team.
Okay,
Whoop.
I want to know. Did they ever come back again?
No.
Yeah.
They did so. They did so.
Yeah, because
What are
they
you
did an
talking
Addams
about?
Family song, right?
Oh, okay.
No,
There we
no,
go.
no, no. They came back recently in those commercials.
Oh well, that is true.
Wait,
But-
is that coming back, or is that like, you can't? It was
That
the
was
same
a big
trick.
comeback. What was that for? What was that for? That
I'm
was
gonna look
for.
right now because I'm trying to. I did
That was
not
for
think we would
money.
be
That
going
was
this
for
deep
money,
into Tag
Chris.
Team.
That was for money.
I know, but it was for like. Was it Geico? It wasn't Geico, right? It was. Maybe it was.
Their
Yeah.
wow, their wiki doesn't have that listed. You'd feel like
How
that
does it
was
not have it
the
listed?
most. Oh, Scoop, there it is. So yeah, it
Scoop.
was for Geico.
Yeah, Scoop.
Okay.
There it is. Yeah, yeah. Right.
But they also
again.
had. God, what the hell was the name of that single? They absolutely wrote a song for one of the Addams Family movies, and it was like quite literally just "Whoomp There It Is" again, but about the Addams Family.
Wow. Okay.
We're gonna count it. We're gonna count
Yeah.
it as a separate song. We're gonna count it.
Back again.
But also such variety in the top 10. So these are just a few of the songs that I picked out that are still heavy hitters to this day. You've got the Proclaimers, "I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles" at number 3,
All right.
or at number 4.
Benny
Onyx
June
Slam,
song.
Onyx Slam at 5.
Let the
Mhm.
boys be boys, or make noise be boys, or
Yeah.
let the boys be boys.
Let the boys be boys.
The already mentioned Soul Asylum, "Runaway Train" was at number 8.
Oh my
and
god,
then-
and there were multiple versions of that video because they kept saving, like having runaway kids like found. Do
Yeah.
you remember that?
Wow, really?
Oh my god, Chris, the whole point of this video, when you watch it, it has
Yeah, I remember the video. I didn't know they
images.
found the kids.
So they had images of these kids, missing kids, in the video, and they made several versions of this video
Yeah.
because some of the kids came home, and
Yeah.
Right.
that video was responsible for so many kids coming back and
Question.
being found. It was awesome.
That is awesome, but question. Did that also result
The
in
one
some
kid that
kids-
wasn't found tried
No.
to sell me a postcard on the New York subway.
Yeah, okay. Well, did it also result in some kids getting lost to try to get in the Soul Asylum video?
It's
Maybe.
possible.
Maybe.
And then Chris, I put this on there because she's your girl. At number 10, Janet Jackson with "If."
If I was
Wow.
your girl. Yeah.
But
Good
like
jam.
discovering this, here's the reason I love this song and the reason I love this era, because it was not one of my older brother's Iron Maiden tapes, which was like I didn't have my music. I had my first tape I ever owned was the Billy Idol song that had like Money Money on it and all that stuff, and that was my tape and that was my music. But I didn't have my music. I had my older brother like letting me have an Iron Maiden tapes when he was done with them, Metallica tapes when he was done with them, but it really was never. It was too hard for me. It's too tough for me. And Mother's Milk, the Chili Peppers, was like the one where I was like, oh, I only really liked this because it had boobs on it, and then I liked it, and I liked the Stevie Wonder covers, amazing, and I liked the Chili Peppers, and I was like, what's more music like this? And then thank goodness Kurt Cobain blew it open, because suddenly like a lot of bands are like the Chili Peppers and doing the funky thing and doing the eclectic music, and now you have all sorts of cool bands to listen to. And that of course led to the record store shopping in Austin and seeing a comic book looking poster on the outside window of Sound Exchange on Waterloo, and it was for Kerplunk. And that was like, once I discovered Lookout Records, I discovered everything. That was that whole era, you know. So now you have my little biography on how I got
There you
into
go.
music.
And there was never a bad album released by Lookout Records from
Never.
that point on.
No.
Nothing but the hits coming out of the Lookout Records.
Well, we've talked about it a lot, Chris, but that can of pork Lookout Records comp was gold.
Yeah. Changed my life
It
forever.
was perfect.
So, John, before we even hit record, before this live stream even happened, we did mention one story that I do think is worth bringing up that I found on the wiki page about the song "What's Up," and I think you had read the same thing. Let me find exactly what it says here. But basically, the song was written well before the Four Non Blondes, really, and at the time, both Linda Perry and the lead singer for Third Eye Blind, it's Stephen Jenkins, were hanging out at a diner, and they were just playing each other songs. Like, oh, this is a song that I'm working on. And at that diner meeting, she showed him What's Up, and he showed her Semi Charm Life. And they were both like, man, these are really great songs. I think we got something here. And it was just recently that Stephen was doing an interview, and he said, it's not until recently that I realized that those two optimistic teenagers in the diner had just handed two songs to each other that would collectively sell 17 million records.
It's insane.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. I mean, that's a cool story. I've heard that Stephen Jenkins dude's a total doofus.
Yeah.
that's the word on the street. That's the word on the street. I mean, I don't know. I guess my reliable source is Jimmy Eat World, who, I mean, I think I consider them a reliable source because I like their band a lot.
And they put a lot of the work in. So they've, you know what I mean? They've worked, Jimmy Eat World has worked with so many bands in the time that they've been around that throwing that word out is, you know, it's probably pretty exclusive.
Yeah. They really. It's rare that you see bands call out other popular band call out another popular band. So it does seem. Oh, dude, you know what's funny is I have a friend who played a show with them too. I think he also had a similar story. That dude being a total doofus. Doofus is the word I'm choosing to use on this live stream.
Well, do you remember? This was like probably our third or fourth episode when we did the episode on Teenage Dirtbag, and our guest talked about seeing Wheatus perform as an opening band to Third Eye Blind, and he's like, there are two bands that are playing on stage that both had like pretty much the exact same like 1 year of hyper relevancy, and he's like, and one of those bands, Wheatus, seemed like they were taking it in stride and really kept pushing themselves creatively and like doing whatever to put on a great live show. And then the other band was only one original member being the singer and a bunch of hired guns and him acting like he was 22 years old still the entire time he was on stage.
And Entitled, probably, right?
Yeah. Motherfucker, I wrote Semi Charm Life. What did you write?
Dude, the most Entitled I ever saw was the 97 Warped Tour. And it was Kid Rock.
Yeah.
And he came out at those same fairgrounds where the needle incident happened. And yeah, he came out and the crowd almost immediately booed him, which, you know, it's like the Warped Tour, everybody's being punky and edgy, but they didn't boo Eminem 2 summers later or Katy Perry 2 summers later. They were booing Kid Rock because he sucked. And he was like, suck my nuts. I ain't finishing this fucking set. Y'all don't deserve it. And everybody started cheering. People were throwing stuff at him. Not unlike the attitude I got when I didn't buy a postcard covered in whiteout on the New York subway.
I'm trying to remember who it was. There was some random band that played. I wish I could remember who it was. They played The Gathering at the Juggalos, and they just got pelted with bullshit. Like, people were throwing like beer bottles and shit at them the entire set. But because they never stopped playing by like the final song, the crowd had turned positive towards them because they're like, all right, they put up with it. I guess they're okay.
Yeah. I remember a band that left the tour early. They were on tour with a Real Big Fish and Punchline.
We just talked about this.
We actually just heard an
episode about them.
So Geekscapists and listeners, stay tuned.
Good band though, but awkward situation.
Just didn't work out. And I remember who's the road manager for Real Big Fish. I just saw him again because he was doing sound and road managing for friends in Less Than Jake, and I was like, and he's in the Real Big Fish videos that we did, and I was like, what happened? And he's like, sometimes it doesn't work out, which is like,
the ska crowds can be brutal. We talked about this. You'll hear about it all on the episode. Didn't really have too many issues with them in Punchline, but apparently that was word on the street, is a lot of bands didn't want to tour with the ska bands because I don't know, maybe you would think the ska fans would be open-minded and wacky and open for anything, but apparently they were not. To some
when I think of ska fan, I think of Matt, and like Matt's like the most easygoing, nicest guy there is. To think like some hostile ska fans is like, oh no.
Any style of music has their gatekeepers or whatever, or their whatever people that are exclusively like anything that isn't cool. You know, especially 20 people are a little bit, I feel like in general people are a little more open-minded and open to a lot of things. I think that's thanks to the internet and having access to everything all at once, so you have a well-rounded taste in everything from music to television to movies to, you know, on and on. But I think maybe the time you had people that were, you know, purists in what they liked and didn't, you know.
I'm going to argue that the internet has turned a bunch of people into fake authorities, and take it from the guy who started a podcast network. It was a fake authority every week on this thing.
You do something long enough, don't you become an actual authority?
I don't know,
but
Chris.
John
there's no evidence.
John breaks all types of.
As I describe it on the main Geekscape show, I'm a mile wide and an inch deep on any of these subjects.
Yeah, but the thing is, I feel like we've done 115, 120 episodes of One Hit Thunder now, and I've really done a lot of research and listened to a lot of these bands and dug into their catalogs and learned a lot about them. I feel like I'm becoming an authority on one-hit wonders at this point. I really do.
I think you are.
We're definitely, as you've said, we've apologized to more one-hit wonders than probably any other person in 2022 so far.
Jonathan, it's funny. It's really funny, this phenomenon of like, I always approach these podcasts as if, you know, the bands are all these people, like they're too famous to be listening to a podcast. But in actuality, if you're a one-hit wonder and you see, whoa, there's an entire episode of a podcast about me, I'm gonna listen to that.
Yeah, that Google search that they've had on for 15 years finally got a ping.
Yeah,
and they're like, what? Something came in, you know. It's like their Google search finally
like
emailed them.
They're like, we got one.
Oh, you just imagine silence, and then all of a sudden you're hearing tick 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 tick.
Dude, it's been week after week now where it's like Matt hits me up and he's like, dude, BB Mac is not happy, and I'm like, what? And then I go, here's what I obsessively do. I'm like, I get like a wave of like anxiety over me. I'm like, what did we say? And then I go back and I listen to the episode, and then usually by the end of the episode I'm like, oh, we said that you're good singers and you're hot. What I mean, what, you're mad because we said you quit or whatever, you know? Like, I usually
TikTok Canadian, you get a Matt Milligan who like listens to that episode and is like, kind of like what y'all are about.
Yeah, right.
Let's link up like Voltron and be a part of it.
It goes in a wave, right? It goes, we record the episode, we think there's no way the band will ever hear this. I mean, I do try to hedge our bets by tagging them.
You do. You do too.
You're almost a terrorist, Matt.
But then they listen to it and we get the bad news. And then Chris and I both have at least an hour of stressed out anxiety texting each other like, we didn't say anything that bad. Then one of us, I won't say who, turns to anger and vengeance for a couple minutes.
Oh, is it the one with the hot takes? Is it Chris hot take for Falios?
All I'm saying is that usually I go back and listen. I'm like, oh, I said, yeah, I made fun of this a little bit, but I also said 50 nice things about them. And usually my biggest complaint is just that, like, yo, my band never had a hit and you did and you quit. That's usually my like frustration or anger, is like, yo, like some of us would love to have that one hit and you just had it. And then you're like, nah, this isn't good enough for me. You know, I don't subscribe to that.
But then
I'll tell you what I learned.
To the artist, and we always walk away feeling like, Oh, they're such a nice guy.
Yeah, we do.
I'll tell you what. There's a director who emailed me after it wasn't even something I said, but I've just in the 15 years plus of Geekscape, I've just taken the approach of being like, hey, if you don't like something, just don't talk about it. And that's not what y'all are doing. Y'all are actually giving like actual analysis and criticism based on things like chart numbers and reaction and the history of where they've been the last decades plus, right? So if the stuff that I talk about on Geekscape is usually news and reviews, and some of it's actually pretty recent. But if I don't like something, if the filmmaker is there, I will say I found this aspect very challenging. Probably means I didn't like it. But after receiving like an email from a director I really enjoyed, I was like, hey dude, just don't talk about it. Like I can't, which is again why Geekscape, the main show, goes an inch deep and a mile wide, talks about a bunch of subjects, and why there is no real expertise, whereas you and Matt have made yourself experts in a very specific area, and yeah, that's expertise, homie.
We always give people a fair chance, and I think any criticism is I'm always like, you quitter. That's always like a go-to of mine, is like a complaint. And the other one is like if they're bad people, like that's my other thing. But otherwise, the music part of it is always just taste. Unless somebody's literally
and Matt, remember the
bad
episode?
at playing.
Matt, you remember the Geekscape episode of me and the director of Boondock Saints? Like people
you almost got into a fist fight. Yeah,
we almost got in a fist fight. But I don't like that movie, and I don't like the sequel of that movie, which is a remake of that movie.
To be fair, I remember this.
He was very aggressive when he walked in the door.
Yeah, well, so the full interview, I'm sure you can track it down and find it. But basically, what happened?
It's all still in the feed, folks.
Was it started off as a pretty decent conversation between two people who were just talking film, and then about midway through the conversation, the director of Boondock Saints noticed Jonathan's degree from film school and got real hostile. And said something along the lines of, "Oh, you're one of those guys who went to school to learn instead of just doing," which is
both, yeah.
But the other thing you have to remember, the other thing you have to remember is that he did Boondock Saints 2, and he was there talking about the next project he wanted to do. And John asked him what the project was, and he's like, "It's about two priests who get sick of the sin in the world, so they load up with guns to try to take out the sinners." Right? John didn't say anything about it at that point. This guy says that line, and John says one of the
kept my mouth shut. I kept my mouth shut.
The funniest things I've ever heard John say to someone's face is he goes, "You're right. Instead of going to film school, I could just make the same movie 3 times for my Juggalo audience."
Wow.
and you know what? To any Juggalos listening, I'm sorry. At the time, I misspoke. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Juggalos and your culture and your sister. You know what? My brother, he wrestled at the gathering, and y'all treated him really well. So I actually really love Juggalos. That being said, F an artist who just does the same thing over and over again. Like, that's not being an artist. That's
Can I tie this all in a big bow so perfectly? Why did we not think of it? Whoop, there it is.
Whoop whoop, there it is.
Whoop whoop, there it is. And we're tying it up. Artists that do the same thing over and over again. Whoop, there it is yet again. Dude,
beautiful. All right,
so we got to talk about Thunder Blunder.
Thunder
or
Blunder.
Jonathan.
Okay, this song is Thunder because it's got all the talent involved, and it was a stratospheric hit for the band. This isn't Blunder just based on Linda Perry's career. Like, she's an incredible songwriter, and she knew going in that this was going to be a hit, and it was. I feel like a one-hit Thunder is something that's a little flash in the pan and wasn't it's just something that wasn't replicable, and her songwriting shows this is replicable. It's like she can write these hits.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt.
I mean, I'm also going to go with Thunder. I actually was shocked how much I really enjoyed this album from front to back when listening to it today. This is absolutely my wheelhouse of music. And just 2 quick things, just throwing it out there because I can't believe we didn't mention it. Obviously, this song became a massive meme with the He-Man lip sync video that I think is like still among, one of the most watched YouTube videos of all time. And I had this real sad moment when I was typing up the lyrics in the notes, and the opening line is 25 years into my life and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
25.
It's been a long ass time since I was 25. was real upsetting to think that she was 25 writing this song, because I think as a kid, I'm like looking at that video being like, these old people. And now I'm like, oh God.
And shout out to Linda Perry for the charity that she still does, putting on concerts and things like that to benefit groups like the LA, Gay and Lesbian Teen Center. I totally got that name wrong, but it's a place that I've definitely donated things to.
Yeah.
But
no, Linda Perry
she sounds pretty
amazing,
cool,
actually.
And she was married to Melissa Gilbert for a stretch, and who doesn't love that?
There you go. All right, Chris.
Why you gotta drop that?
We stack the deck on you, dude.
Why you gotta drop
you.
that she's like a really good person on top of everything else? Because I wasn't doubting, like, Linda Perry. Yeah, she wrote Beautiful. So you're not going to be able to say she's a blunder. I mean, she wrote a lot of hits, but Four Non Blondes, I'll never listen to that album again. That's one thing. I listened to it 3 times today. Those are the last 3 times I'm ever going to listen to that album. What's Up? At this point, all the enjoyment of that song just through repetition has been sucked out of it for me. Like, when I hear it, I want to change it and add the karaoke aspect to it. And I would say that Four Non Blondes are, not Linda Perry. Four Non Blondes is a blunder, and I would be fine with not ever hearing Four Non Blondes again.
Yeah.
That's where
All
I
right.
stand.
Well,
but
real
I'm
quick,
outnumbered. I'm outnumbered.
No, that's the danger of karaoke. Do not, audience, pick a song for karaoke over 3 minutes. You're making yourself the enemy.
Yep. Yeah. All right, John, real quick, and then we're going to keep on moving. But hey, what are you up to? What is anything you want to promote real quick before we tie up the episode?
I'm sorry, Matt. I want to promote the Geekscape Network. You can find us at our socials on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all those places. Search for Geekscape. You'll find us, and you'll find a lot of Matt shows. And I really just want y'all to go to the GoFundMe linked in this episode description and support.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Go to geekscape.net and see what's going on.
Yep.
All right, guys. I'm going to cut to a couple quick videos, more stuff of Meg's. One of the things that it mentions in the GoFundMe video that you may have noticed was that she also was a music teacher for a bunch of children, and she did send me a video of one of the last performances that she did with her kids before the chronic fatigue kind of made it where she couldn't perform anymore. So I'm going to start with a minute video of her working with some kids, and then a couple more performances, and then we'll be back with Weird Algorithm.
63 is 9, 9 is 18. Baby, yes, you I couldn't say I believed in the plan. I wouldn't say that I understand. These feet I stand on give me a safe place to land. But I'll never let go again. It's a trick of the mind, seeing into futures unmet. We never know the kinds of people and the life that lies ahead. But is it ever enough to make the choice to stay and fight for the unlived life? For the splinter light coming through in every Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. Is there virtue in this pain? Is there something here to gain? I could say I'd be The sun is surely sinking down, and the moon is slowly rising. So this old world must still be spinning around, and I still love you. So close your eyes. You can close your eyes, it's alright. And I don't know no love songs, and I can't sing the blues anymore. But I can sing this song, and you can sing this song when I'm gone. Won't be long before another day. We're gonna have a good time. No one's gonna take that time away. You can stay as long as you like. So close your eyes. You can close your eyes, it's alright. I don't know no love songs, and I can't sing the blues anymore. But I can sing this song, and you can sing this song when I'm gone. A goose.
So that was another couple songs from Meg. We are about to dive into the recording of the newest Geekscape podcast, Weird Algorithm. But given that we are doing a song that it is a good chance you have never heard, I'm going to go ahead and play the song for you to listen to. We're going to be talking about an unreleased demo that was going to originally be on the first Weird Al album. And reportedly, he decided that the song was too mean, and that he probably wouldn't have gotten permission to put it on the album anyway. So this is the unreleased 1980 Dr. Demento demo of the song It's Still Billy Joel to Me, and then we will be back with Weird Algorithm featuring Dustin of $2 Late Fee.
What's the matter with the songs he's singing? Can't you tell that they're pretty lame? The listening to a couple albums, well, they all start to sound the same. So we tried to change his musical style. He tossed all the ballads in the circular file. But then it found the punk sound breaking ground all around his hillbilly Joel to me. What's the matter with the tune he's writing? Well, you know it's gonna be a smash. It's so nice when you're a big name artist. Doesn't matter if it sounds like trash. Now everybody thinks a new wave is super. Just ask Linda Ronstadt or even Alice Cooper. It's a big hit, isn't it? Even if it's a piece of junk, it's still Billy Joel to me. Whoa, it doesn't matter what the critics say about him, cause he doesn't worry how they feel. So if your record's selling millions and it's going triple platinum, you don't worry about your next meal, cause money is no big deal. Maybe he should dye his hair bright pink and stick a safety pin through his cheese. Then it really fit the new wave image, but he couldn't sit down for weeks. But don't you know about the record business, honey? You gotta be trendy if you wanna make some money. And everybody's saying that he sure sounds funny, but it's still Billy Joel to me. His next album, well, I bet it's gonna be the rage. Buy a ticket to his next big concert, well, I wonder what I'll do on stage. It might be disco and it might be the blues, or maybe even something like the B-52s. Just a hand clap, finger snap, even if it's mindless back, it's still Billy Joel to me. Everybody's saying that he sure sounds funny, but it's still Billy Joel to me.
All right. Well, real quick, I just want to thank everybody because in the hour that we've been doing this live stream, Meg's GoFundMe has already jumped up $200. So thank you so much. Claps all around for everybody donating, trying to help out my friend. I really, really appreciate it. Now, let's bring in Matthew, the co-host of the lovely Weird Algorithm podcast.
It is lovely, isn't it?
This is our first episode. This is our first recording since episodes have been made public.
Oh my god,
which is like funny and exciting.
Yeah,
and it's also going to be our first guest because we've got Dustin from $2 Late Fee here.
I will also wave. Hi guys.
Yay! And if you watched the One Hit Thunder live stream, you saw that you're going to see a little bit of behind the scenes on recording a podcast because we're going to do the 1, 2, 3 clap to synchronize our recordings.
Always,
real quick
always a crowd pleaser.
Oh yeah!
All right, here we go.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. So Matt, we're talking about what will be the first of many songs that didn't make it onto the album.
Yeah.
And we're doing this for a live stream event at Geekscape. So we wanted to bring in one of the heavy hitters of Geekscape, one of the people who's also kind of new to the network, similarly to Weird Algorithm. So I'd like to introduce Dustin of the $2 Late Fee podcast. Dustin, welcome.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me. And thank you for, calling me a heavy hitter, even though like I've been here 5.5 minutes on the Geekscape network. But
I'm down to 5 more podcasts of yours to listen to, and I've heard the whole back catalog.
Holy tacos.
I literally just listened to you talk to Dean Cameron for the second time, so I consider you a pretty heavy hitter in my heart.
Yeah, well, but
I love Dean Cameron.
I think you're the heavy hitter of the listeners. You're easily our heavy hitterist. I'm just making up verb tenses.
Heaviest hitterist listenerist.
Yes, you really are.
All of those things.
So thank you both. Can I just point out something? Have you guys the parallels between UHF and that scene when they're having a fundraiser?
No, not yet. But that is, if there was ever a podcast to bring it up, this is
you did it.
We have done similar stuff where Jonathan and I have talked about during like the Christmas live streams that it is Geekscape has become our own version of UHF when we do those live streams where it's just
totally
those are like 16 straight hours. So it feels like UHF. We're just like, what weirdo can we bring up to sing for 10 minutes?
Right.
Here's some yodeling fish. People.
Yeah.
Dude,
exactly.
and I'm glad that you brought up UHF because I know it's going to be like another 100 episodes until we get there. But man, when I have my Spotify on shuffle and that theme song comes on, I just get excited for the day that we get to record an episode about that song.
That is such a good song.
But Dustin, you're the new one on the show. Matthew and I have already talked about our Weird Al love and our experiences with Weird Al. So before we even dive into this very strange, very not like Al song, I need to ask you, what's your journey with Weird Al? How did you discover Weird Al? And have you been a fan this whole time? Or did you, like many, have a period of time where you were too cool for Al and then came back?
Yes. Thank you for the question. I despise Weird Al with every fiber. No, I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. No, Weird
Hot
Al.
take from the first guest.
Right. Wait, this is a Weird Al podcast? Yeah. I thought we were going to talk about Matt Damon. I've always, you guys were just, this is your podcast. So you understand that no one was doing what he was doing as far as when we were kids, and just hearing that, and you're like I didn't even know that was a possibility, that you could like take a song, rework it so it's hilarious, and when you're 7 years old, it's hilarious, and then make an album that way. And one of my best friends who lived down the block from me, he had like Weird Al's entire collection, so we'd go over. He'd play all the hits, and I'd be like, this guy's amazing. And utilizing the accordion and in the way that he did, that was also like maybe my first foray into like the coolness of the accordion. So I've always had that Weird Al foundation. And then I maybe 4 years ago, I met Weird Al for the first time in a Baja Fresh out here in LA. And he was eating by himself. He's just like scarfing down a burrito because he had a show at the Hollywood Bowl, like I feel like that night. And he got up to leave. And the way that this Baja Fresh is designed is that you go out the door and there's like stairs right at the door, and there was a line for lunch, and so I was holding the door open. He walked by, and I said, "Al, huge fan." And in that same moment that he turned around to say thank you, he bit it so hard on the stairs, like just slam. And I was like, oh no, because he couldn't like turn around, and it was awkward. I mean, but he had to do that thing where he just brushed it off like it was part of I didn't fall. So he just slammed his knees, slammed his like chest, got up, and then never looked back at me. He just kept walking, and he scurried away. And I was like,
so we're joined by the man who almost murdered Weird Al Yankovic down a flight of stairs. And
Dustin, I mean, again, first guest we've had on this podcast, and what a story to beat now. You ran into Al at a Baja Fresh.
And I felt
before
awful.
His show. Like, Al was eating alone at Baja Fresh.
At the single little table in the window. And I was like, man, he was like with the apples. What's that SNL character? He's like, Chris Kattan has this like weird character.
Oh, God.
And it was like he was eating like that fast. Like he was just flying through it. And but anyway, I felt really horrible.
Oh my God.
Because we've all been
imagine.
there. We've all fallen that way, or something.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to recover from that story.
Jesus.
Yes,
and Matthew,
that's incredible.
Absolutely correct. What a first story from a first guest. Really, the bar.
I was not prepared for that to come out like that. Everything about that story got better and better.
I'm so glad you liked it.
Wow.
So let's talk about this song, and I've got a few things I want to say leading into this. First off, I mean, Matthew, I feel like this song, more than any other song that we've talked about so far, is just further evidence to the like Weird Al is a punk rocker in the early 80s. This is like defending the honor of punk and new wave for most of the song. But what I want to know is, with both of you, was this your first time hearing this song?
So I had heard the there's a really crappy video version of him and his band doing this from back in the day that I saw forever ago. I don't know why. I was just on YouTube stumbling around and I found this from an early concert of theirs, which you and I shared back and forth as well, Matt. And I had seen that, so I was aware that this song existed, and I knew something of the lore behind it, but I had not heard that version you just played until right before we did this episode in anticipation of it. That's like the cleanest version of the entire track that I had ever heard before.
For sure. And how about you, Dustin? Was this just your first time even knowing the song existed?
I have heard this song before, but because I'm not a huge fan of the Billy Joel song, this didn't resonate or stay in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I am a pretty diehard Billy Joel head, to be totally honest. I love Billy Joel. I like the album that this song is on that he was kind of bitching about. I think Glass House is a really good record.
Yeah.
But Al, in a couple interviews, he talked about a few things. I dug up a few different interviews, including one that was like last year during the pandemic. He did like a live stream show, and they played the video that Matthew's talking about, the really kind of crappy concert video, and they asked him to talk about if Billy Joel had ever heard the song, and he said, like, yeah, Billy Joel had heard the song, and he's like, and that was kind of the first time that he realized, that people might actually hear these things that he's saying, and it was also kind of the realization where he was like, well, I don't want to be mean to these artists, and that's kind of what the big shift, where it's like after this first album, we do get like the wholesome version of Weird Al that we've come to know and love, because as Matthew and I talked about on the last couple episodes, like the first album is dark and mean-spirited pretty much throughout.
Yeah, he's mad. Oh, it's funny you just made that. I'm going to do a connection to the thing you were talking about in your previous podcast, the One Hit Thunder. You guys were talking about, I was in the background listening, how you never expect the person you're talking about is going to hear you talking about them.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you're small or when you feel small, and which Al clearly did at this point in time. Like, he was just a kid writing goofy songs. And I mean, imagine, like, in a million years at the time, he probably never imagined Billy Joel would ever hear his name, let alone hear the song that he was doing. So it was all just fun and games. And then he started to get some attention. And once you get that attention, suddenly it's like, oh, wait a minute. Now I'm really like, am I comfortable with the person I'm talking about actually hearing what I'm saying about them?
Yeah, and this is one of the rare times where the parody song is about the artist. You know what I mean? Like, there's only like maybe 2 or 3 other times that ever happened. Obviously, the most famous one being Smells Like Nirvana.
Yeah.
But like, even that one was not remotely as mean-spirited as it's still Billy Joel to me. Like, it's still Billy Joel to me is... like, even just re-listening to it, this is like a pitchfork review in the form of a song.
Billy Joel was also a really easy target back then. It was funny because he was super popular, but he was an easy target. People loved making fun of Billy Joel, and Al's right on that bandwagon. Nirvana, when Al parodied Nirvana, they were at the height of their fame, and they were like untouchably cool. So doing a song pointing out their, like, sillier quirks was very endearing. It felt like they were, it was okay to make those little references to this band that was otherwise untouchable.
Yeah.
But Billy Joel as an easy target, I actually feel like Billy Joel's cred has gone way up in more recent years compared to back then.
This is beginning of 80s Joel, which is so like debated on if it's good or not, that it became like a joke in Step Brothers, right? That there was the only 80s Joel cover band.
That's
which,
right.
Like, joke being like, no one would ever want to hear anything post The Stranger, right? Like, like, why would you ever? But I love Glass Houses. I think, I mean, I feel like Dustin already played his hand on this, but Matthew, are you a fan of Billy Joel?
I am, although I have to, I am probably one of those people who, I think when I was a kid, I grew up on Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
So Billy Joel,
it's a religion.
It's religious, and it's also, as a kid who grew up as a punk rock kid, could not have been more toxic to me as a child. Like, I was like, no way, absolutely not. But now, as an adult who is into music, I listen to those records. I'm like, these are solid. Like, it's really hard to find much to complain about. I think he wrote great songs. I think that 70s records are incredible, and I think that his ability to write like mainstream pop hits in the 80s was also pretty incredibly solid.
And there's a lot of like like non-singles on those. Like I think Where's My Orchestra on Nylon Curtain, like the closing track to that album, is like one of the prettiest songs I've ever fucking heard. And it's like a heartbreaking song. Like it's literally like Billy Joel's version of Send in the Clowns, where it's just like it's like him just writing a eulogy to his career, basically. Like it's funny. Heavy. And I'm a huge fan of I think we've even brought him up on the show already, but I'm a big fan of the writing of Chuck Klosterman, who's done the book Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs, and he has this whole essay about like what made Billy Joel so cool was the fact that he was the least cool person in any situation.
Yeah.
And that like he's like, you can't find a love song by Billy Joel that's not just soaked in sadness and melancholy. Like all of them are so depressing. But Dustin, I'm just assuming because you had made a comment. Are you a Joel fan or not really?
Well, I need to clarify. I'm not a fan of still rock and roll to me.
Okay.
That is why. But Billy Joel, I am a fan of. And same as you, Matthew, it's like as an adult, kind of like keying into the lyrics where I was like, oh, this guy's a songwriter. You know, like even like hearing Piano Man and really listening to Piano Man, I was like, whoa, there's a lot of layers to this song. It's
I love that TikTok just I'm not sure if either of you have seen the TikTok that went a little viral that proposed it's an account that's basically called, I forget what the name of the account is, but it's essentially like who is the gay in the song is what their whole theme is, and they'll play a song and they'll try to pinpoint who's the gay character in the song.
Who's the gay?
Great.
But when they did Piano Man, their theory was that the song is literally about a man playing at a gay bar, not realizing he's at a gay bar.
That's great. Yeah.
And he's like pointing out all the different lyrics where it's like, John at the bar is a friend of mine who buys me my drinks for free. And like, there's Davey still in the Navy, probably will be for life. And there's the guy who will never have time for a wife. And then he's like, it just makes the line, man, what are you doing here? So much funnier when you think of it through that lens.
That's a great reading. I had not heard that before. I love that.
I love that theory. I sent that to my uncle who's in a cover band where he has to play Piano Man pretty much every night. And he's like, well, this is what I'm going to think about every time that I play this.
That's so funny.
But no, he is a true songwriter.
There's also something he has done that I think is really interesting. And we're just talking about Billy Joel now, which is totally fine. I'm on board. His last album was in 1993.
Yep,
and he has just continued. Yeah, exactly. River of Dreams. And he just kept going. And he had a big hit on that record. And he has continued and just very openly been like, I don't feel like I have any more songwriting. I can't write at that level anymore. And I'm going to stop, and I'm just going to continue to perform, and I'm going to play the stuff that I'm really proud of, and I'm not going to keep going. And that's amazing. There are very, very few. I actually cannot offhand think of another artist who did that.
Really good point.
Who has had the, I don't know, the self-awareness. You know, so many people, like, as they get older, and honestly, I don't fault some of the more like the older, singer-songwriters. Like,
we're recording this at the same time that Pink Floyd released one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
Oh my god!
For the Ukraine, you know what I mean?
And honestly, they're not even terrible. Sometimes, like McCartney is still putting out records, and I listen. I'm like, yeah, okay, there's a couple like nice songs on this, but I mean, when was the last time that he put out like a vital album? Like Billy Joel just being like, unless I can top the charts with what I'm writing, I'd rather not write. I have a lot of respect for that as an attitude and an approach. It's kind of antithetical to being a pop artist in a way. I don't know. I'm blown away by that level of awareness and kind of control of your career in a way.
Well, and the last cool I almost said Billy Joe, like Billy Joe Armstrong, Billy Joel thing that I want to mention before we dive into this song a little bit is I heard this rumor, and I think it's true, that Billy Joel at every concert he plays buys all of the tickets for the first 3 rows and then has roadies go up into the nosebleed section and give those tickets to people because
I hope that's true. That's great.
He was like, I was just sick of playing these songs for people who could afford the front row but didn't care about it as anything other than a status symbol. Like I'd rather play in front of people who love my songs and are singing along. And he's like, and those are the people who are going to spend $20 to sit in the nosebleeds just because they want to be there to hear that music live. Yeah. So it's like, that is like taking your rock star power and showing a real love and appreciation for your fans in a way that very few artists do.
Absolutely.
But all right, so it's still Billy Joel to me. Yes, it is very mean. I still think it's very funny.
It's funny. I mean, he's got some really great references, and I do love the fact that he is, as you pointed out, he is rallying against, like, it's clear that Al comes from this punk, and Al's definition of new wave, which he keeps referencing in this song because Billy Joel references new wave in his song. It's clearly making fun of Billy Joel's interpretation, because Al is just like, we must be hearing different things when you're using that word or that term.
What's the line from Princess Bride? Is, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
I don't think that, yes.
But yeah, like, it is a wild song. I remember I first heard this song actually on Comedy Bang Bang back when it was called Comedy Death Ray.
Oh yeah.
And they had Weird Al in the studio, and he had found a much cleaner live version of it, and they played that on the show, and I was like blown away by how much I enjoyed the wildness of that song, because I do love It's Still Rock and Roll to me. I do love that. Like I said, I love that whole Glass Houses album, but it's like, show me the lie in the lyrics at the same time. It's like he's saying truthful things.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you pointed out, so Al has said that he knows Billy Joel heard the track. There's some interesting, like, legend behind this song that I was seeing. There's a lot of conflicting reports online about whether or not Al asked permission for this and got denied, or if he actually never asked because he wrote it, and then when the record came around, what kind of chickened out in a way and was like, there's no way we're going to be like, is it cool if we do this? And they were like, forget it. We're just going to scrap it. And that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and another thing that I heard, which I think is also probably makes sense, and I want to just make sure I get this album correct, but this demo is from 1980, which was right when Glass Houses came out, but the self-titled Weird Al album wasn't going to come out until 83, where at that point, like, Nylon Curtain had already come out, which was kind of a little bit of a return to the 70s sound of Joel, and then An Innocent Man came out, which was like an all 50s rock album. So I think there was also that element of, like, none of the things that we're talking about are even remotely relevant to Billy Joel's career by 1983. Like,
sure.
It was a song that one of the proudest songs I ever wrote when I was writing music as an angry 20-year-old. It's like, I can't even pretend that anyone would care about this song anymore, because it was literally a song about the music scene in the early 2000s. So it's like talking about, oh, you're wearing your girl pants and you've got your studded belts, and you're like, it's like, it just doesn't hold, like, pink shirts and trucker hats. Like, it was like references to that where it's like,
God.
that's like barely, like, if I put that out in 2022, like, the audience would be like, why are you talking about how we dressed 16 years ago? Like, that's so pointless.
Best way to date yourself in your music.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Start naming things.
Oh God. And just throwing this out there because it ties to a bunch of stuff, but someone on Twitch actually asked us, have we seen the new Nerf Herder music video of them covering My Bologna that dropped today?
I haven't got it. No, yeah, I had no idea.
I didn't see it yet, but obviously, Matthew and I both talked about, we have some connections to Nerf Herder. So I think someone from Nerf Herder will be on this podcast sooner rather than later.
Interesting. I love that.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So Dustin, let's talk a little bit about, what are your thoughts with the lyrics? What do you think of this very strange, angry parody from Weird Al Yankovic?
Yeah. Well, I think, to the point that you guys were both talking about earlier, it's like when you are in your 20s, it's very easy to disconnect from that mean-spiritedness, that just kind of will naturally come up. Even though I feel like now we all, like, have that to a degree, but you just kind of know better, especially once you're, quote, sitting at the table, like once you realize there's a possibility, oh, these people in my circle could be, hearing this or seeing this or whatever. So I do think, yes, I enjoy it. But there is that kind of like, oh, wow, it really is mean-spirited for the sake of being mean-spirited. And I think he feels that kind of fearlessness because, like you guys said, I'm not going to meet Billy Joel. I don't care. let's just ride this wave of this guy's, he's oversaturated. He's everywhere. He's a poser. He's talking about walking through Bed-Stuy alone. Like he's so tough.
Yeah.
Not in this song, but you're like, really?
Yeah.
Like even like Uptown Girl, like as a kid, I was like, is this guy like, is he blue collar? Like he doesn't seem that way to me. And like does he work on cars? Can Billy Joel fix your carburetor? That's the question I pose.
I feel like I go through that same feeling with another artist that is in the similar ballpark of Billy Joel, that I also love their music, but there's a certain point where I'm like, can Bruce Springsteen still claim to be working, like writing for the middle class when he's been like the biggest songwriter for 4 decades? Like,
right. Similar era, similar. Yeah.
It's true. I don't know if you saw his the Broadway show that Springsteen did, which they filmed. It's on Netflix and stuff too. But it's the opening of the show. He says he was like, I never had a factory in my life. I never worked 9 to 5. I've never done any of that. He's like, my whole career is based on a lie. And he, by his own admission, he's like,
at least he's self-aware.
That's my trip.
About it.
Yeah.
I do want to analyze, man. So I'm looking at these lyrics, because even just listening to the song now, reading this specific line is just so mean, which is, well, what's the matter with the tune he's writing? You know it's going to be a smash. It's so nice when you're a big name artist. It doesn't matter that it sounds like trash. Like, holy hell, Weird Al.
Yeah.
Not holding back at all.
Your shitty music is popular. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's also got the lyric making fun of, like, I guess he's saying that Billy Joel presents himself like more punk rock than he is. The whole, maybe he should dye his hair bright pink and stick a safety pin through his cheeks. Then he'd really fit the new wave image, but he couldn't sit down for weeks. That's also a kind of a blue lyric for Al.
Very.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of like, I would say there's one of like 3 blue lyrics in his entire career. And that's
there are not many.
Big one. I also, look, as a diehard B-52s fan, I love that he's standing up for the B-52s in that last verse. He's like,
oh my God.
Hey, we're, we
said
get
no
to,
one ever.
When we get to in 3D, he does his B-52s homage.
Yeah. And like pre-Love Shack. That's the craziest thing. He's doing an homage to like My Own Private Idaho and like Rock Lobster era B-52s, which is, I mean, I like Love Shack, but that is to me prime B-52s when it is just some of the strangest guitar riffs and just weird noises. Fun fact that I actually learned the other day recording a different podcast. Did you know that the B-52s song Rock Lobster is instrumental in John Lennon deciding to come back and record more music? Because he heard the weird noises that they were making in the background and thought, finally, the radio is ready for what Yoko and I have been doing.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I had not heard that before. That is amazing. It doesn't totally surprise me because I think it all the time. Anytime I hear that song, Rock Lobster, all I think the entire time it's playing is like, this was a hit.
Yeah.
Can you believe this was a hit song? Can you imagine someone at a record label hearing that song and be like, yeah, we'll go with that?
Yeah, dude.
It is long. It goes on forever.
It's that scene where they're singing about all of the different animals and each member makes a noise. Like,
it's so like, crazy.
Here comes the jellyfish. Whoop, whoop. Like, it's like, but that apparently was the moment when they started doing those noises. Amazing. He was like, they're ready. They're ready for the Plastic Ono band finally.
Oh my God, that's wild.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that when I heard that story, I'm like, that checks and is also amazing and hilarious at the exact same time to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this is an interesting song. I'm curious, do you think we should rank this with our parody songs, or do we ignore the demos that never fully made it?
It's interesting because we didn't talk about this in advance. I'm inclined to say that we should stick to the official catalog in terms of the rankings and not dive into the I love talking about these things, but in terms of like the actual ranking structure, I feel like we should keep it within official canon.
How do you guys rank them though? What is your structure?
So we're literally, as we cover each song, we determine where we rank it above the songs that we've already heard.
In all of the okay.
So different categories.
There's categories, yeah.
We have
Okay.
the parodies, we have the original songs, which is also includes the style parodies, music videos, polkas, and overall albums.
Okay. Wow.
So
All right.
I won't put it on the official rankings, but I am curious amongst all the other.
Oh yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah, amongst all the other parodies that appeared on the self-titled, where do you think you would put this one?
Off the record. This is completely off the record. No
record.
one's listening to us. Where would I rank this? Okay, so
because mine's, I would put it at number 2, right below Ricky, right above My Bologna. I really like this song.
Wow.
Well,
and I ranked My Bologna number 1 of the parodies of the first record, right?
Yours was My Bologna at number 1, I Love Rocky Road at number 2, Ricky at number 3, Another One Rides the Bus at number 4, and we both agree that Stop Dragging My Car Around so far was the worst parody that we've heard by Al.
I'll put it above Another One Rides the Bus.
Ooh, putting him in that.
I will
put him in that 4th slot if we were
smack in the middle there of this stuff, because this does have the. I love. We were talking about actually some of the stuff that he did by himself and this like really kind of rough DIY sounding recordings of him alone. But I really like the sound he gets on this one. This is like, I love, just from a purely like technical thing, in the middle section of the song, it's supposed to be a drum fill. It's like a triplet drum fill down the drums before the second verse. And he just slams the accordion keys like that. And it sounds so cool. Like that's, again, a punk rock thing. Like, man, I want to hear him do more of that kind of stuff. It's like, I do miss, or we will miss as we get past this time period of his, the real sort of rough and ready style of this stuff, because they get so much slicker as soon as the album 1 time period is over and we get into Eat It and all that stuff. It gets so much more hi-fi.
Yeah, how do we sound exactly like the recording instead of just like a band covering a song?
Yeah.
Well, Dustin, thank you so much for joining us, giving us some window to bounce our thoughts off on this. Where can people check out more of Dustin?
It's my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me. This has been really fun. And you can, I'm part of the Geekscape Network, $2 late fee with Zach Schaefer. We do 80s movies, 80s soundtracks, 80s celebrity interviews. Matt Kelly is our number 1 fan. And what did we say? My upmost, I don't even remember what it was, but you were the highest tierist fanist, something like that.
I'll take it
upper level. So thank you guys.
Oh, heavy hitter. He's the heaviest hitterist.
Heaviest hitterist. Thank you. Yes, that's what it was. We got it back. Can we go to the tally? Like how much money we've raised to make it feel like
the UHF style?
Yes.
Let me go give it a check real quick. Also, I mean, Matt, this is going to be weird because this episode is going to come out. It's going to be our first episode in July by the time this thing gets released. All right, we're still kind of just sitting at the same number, so we can't do anything too crazy. But hey, donate.
Okay.
But
a reminder to donate. Please donate.
Donate below.
Yes. I don't want you to have to announce stuff for July that hasn't been announced yet. But for the people who are watching the stream, you do have some stuff coming up in the near future with Wheatus.
Yes.
Most importantly, you and I will finally meet in person. But
Matt
but beyond
and I have never met in person, which is crazy. Doing this show, we met during the pandemic, and we've only spoken like this.
Yeah.
Man.
Wheatus is doing a 4-show tour. We'll call it a tour. It's 4 shows. It's a long weekend. We are playing in Baltimore, in Wayne, Pennsylvania, which I'm told is Greater Philadelphia. And then we are doing Atlantic City and Amityville, Long Island, New York. And we're with MC Lars, a good friend of ours, co-headline type thing. It should be really fun. And that's in May 19 through 22. Wheatus.com has the details. And come check it out and talk to me about Weird Al songs.
Yeah.
And I'll find more things to say about all of them, including this one, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mean, since you mentioned him, also MC Lars, most likely a future guest on
my God, without a doubt, we'll get him on this podcast at some point.
He's going to recorded a song with Al, I believe, right?
He has. I play on that song too.
Yeah, you do. That was a Wheatus and Weird Al collaboration.
That's right. I didn't meet Al. I didn't watch Al fall out of a Baja Fresh. I can't compete with that. But I did do a remote recording without ever speaking to him in real life.
Almost as good.
It's not even close to as good, honestly. I can't believe that Baja Fresh story. That's gonna haunt me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dustin. I'm going to drop you guys off the stream. Boom. Later,
Thanks.
Matthew. We'll talk more. All right. We talked about Weird Al Yankovic. Now let's bring on a man from the podcast Max of Mediocrity, who's also one of the weirdest guys I know, Dave. Boom.
Yo, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing it, but I'm going to take my stream in a second anyway.
Can you hear me okay, though? Is it coming through?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. I got one other thing I want you to check for me, because it's to say it's scuffed on this end is a understatement. How does this? Do I have like an echo to my voice now?
No.
No echo?
No echo.
All right, well, screw it. No echo. I tried. Okay, how about this? We'll see if this works. Hi, everybody. I'm on stream now, but all right, let's give this a shot. Can you hear this? Can you hear like a hip-hop beat?
I can, yes.
Oh, thank God. All right, we'll work with that, what we got. Because see what we're doing today? We're going to be reading a little Cat in the Hat, a little Dr. Seuss. Shout out to everybody that was in here. Shout out to the stream. Shout out to Matt Kelly. We're reading nursery rhymes. Let me know if you know this one. Didn't give me the beat. We'll give it a... Rap takes a second. Rap takes a minute. There we go. The sun did not shine, it was too wet to play. So we sat in the house on that cold, wet day. I sat there with Sally. We sat there, we two. And I said how I wish we had something to do. Too wet to go out, too cold to play ball. So we sat in the house and we did nothing at all. So all we could do was to sit. And we did not like it. Not one little bit. You know what that means. Bump! We're reading it. You'll know what they're getting into. And then something went bump. How that bump made us jump. And we looked and we saw on the mat. We looked, we saw him. The cat in the hat. He said to us, why do you sit there like that? No, it's wet, the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun that is funny. You know what? I'm not feeling this beat. We need something more uplifting. We need something a little bit harder. I don't think we can do Cat in the Hat without the hardest beats we can find. Let's try this one. Sure. All right. I know some good games that we could play, said the cat. I swear I did this before. Let's do it. I know some good games that we could play, said the cat in the house, and I know some tricks. Said the cat in the house, yes, a lot of good tricks. I will show them to you. Your mother will not mind if I do. We got 10 minutes of this. And Sally and I did not know what to say. Our mother was out for the whole day. But our fish said, no, make that cat go away. Tell that cat in the hat you do not want to play. Be something faster. What's happening, chat? I hope this one's gives us a little energy. Because the fish got introduced. See. I have all the books here, I swear. I'm getting right from the source material.
Dark side, light this bitch up.
But our fish said no, no. Make that cat go away. Tell that cat in the hat you do not want to play. He should not be here. He should not be here when your mother is out. He should not be about. Now have no fear. Have no fear, said the cat. Said my tricks are not bad, said the cat in the hat. While we can have lots of good fun if you wish, with the game that I call Up with the Fish. Everybody chat's a little confused. Put me down, said the fish. This is no fun at all. Put me down, said the fish. I do not wish to fall. Have no fear, said the cat. I will not let you fall. We'll hold you up high as I stand on a ball with a book in one hand, a cup on my hat. That's not all I can do, said the cat. What do you think? Should we switch up the book? Cat in the Hat's got some weird rhyming schemes. This is just our warm-up. I am Sam. Sam I am. That's Sam I am, that's Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Do you like green eggs and ham? No, I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. I'm doing this old school, we gotta flip. Would you like them here or there? I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Sam I am. Would you like them in a house? Would you like them with a mouse? I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Sam I am. Sam I am. Lost my place, Sam I am. Not in a box, not with a fox, not in a house, not with a mouse. I do not eat them here or there. I would not eat them anywhere. I would not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you, could you in a car? Eat them, here they are. Chee. Oh God, is that? I think it's the end of my beat. It'd be cool if we get something a little faster, you know? What BPM's this at?
Dark side, light this bitch up.
See if we can find something. This one's a little faster. Okay. I think we need this. Pick it up. like them in a tree. I would not, could not in a tree, not in a car. You let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. Do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. Do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam. I am a train, a train, a train, a train. Could you, would you want a train? Not on a train, not in a tree, not in a car. Sam, let me be. I would not, could not in a box. I would not, could not with a fox. I will not eat them with a mouse. Will not eat them with a house. I will not eat them here or there. I will not eat them anywhere. Would not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam. I am. Say, in the dark, here in the dark. You could you in the dark? I would not, could not in the dark. Would you, could you in the rain? I would not, could not in the rain. I would not, could not in the dark. Not on a train, not in a car, not in a tree. I do not like them, Sam, you see. Not in a house, not in a box, not with a mouse, not with a fox. I will not eat them here or there. I will not eat them anywhere. Would you? Oh man, I messed that one up. The train scene gets me. You do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam. I am. Could you? Would you? With a goat? All right, Sam's bringing goats into this now. I've never made it this far. Sam, let's get freaky with goats. Could you, would you, with a goat? Would not, could not, with a goat. Would you, could you, on a boat? Oh gosh, I could not, would not, on a boat. Will not, with a goat. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them on a train. Not in the dark, not in a tree, not in a car. You let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I will not eat them in a house. I will not eat them with a mouse. Do not like them here or there. I will not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam. I am. Here we go. You do not like them, so you say. Try them, and you may. Try them, and you may, I say. Sam! If you will let me be, I will try them and you will see. About to be the greatest redemption arc of all time. Oh no, our beat ended. No, we were just about to hit redemption arc. All right, we got to go beast mode. What RPM was that? Because we got to finish that up. This one's just... I just picked random ones off YouTube, so I'm glad these work. All right, let's go. We got one more thing after this. It's our challenge mode. Say I like green eggs and ham. I do, I like them, Sam. I am. I would eat them in a boat, and I would eat them with a goat. I will eat them in the rain, in the dark, and on a train, and in a car, and in a tree. They are so good, you see. So I will eat them in a box, and I will eat them with a fox, and I will eat them in a house, and I will eat them with a mouse. I will eat them here or there. Say I will eat them anywhere. So like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam. I am. God, we had to finish. I have one more book for you. This is the ultimate rhyme book. It's the ultimate. I'll turn this down for a second. This is the ultimate rhyme book. No rapper has ever attempted this, to my knowledge, because they're scared. The Fox and Socks. This book is so intense. It has a disclaimer on it. Take it slowly. This book is dangerous. Also, shout out for them not saying slow and doing it correctly. It's slowly. This is not a book that has an easy rhyming scheme. This book is a tongue twister. It's a book, a whole like 30 pages of tongue twisters. And we're going to see how far we can go. We're going to see how far we can do this. I hope you believe in me. Okay. Let's bring the beat back. Take a drink of water. We're going to see how far we can go. I recommend at home, if you got your computer, to look this one up and read it along with me. I wish I could do it, but, we're limited here. We're having fun. Here we go. Hopefully this beat holds out. Okay, let's start it over. Now we're used to it. We're going this next round, next pass. Fox, socks, box, knocks in box, fox in socks, knocks on fox in socks in box, socks on knocks and knocks in box, fox in socks on box on knocks, chicks with bricks come, chicks with blocks come, chicks with bricks and blocks and clocks come. Look sir, Mr. Knox, sir. Let's do tricks with bricks and blocks, sir. All right, here we go. 2 minutes. I'll make a quick trick, brick stack, then I'll make a quick trick, block stack. You can make a quick trick, chick stack, and make a quick trick, clock stack. And there's new trick, Mr. Knox, socks on chicks and chicks on fox and fox on clocks on bricks and blocks and blocks on knocks on box. Now we come the ticks and talks, sir. Try to say this, Mr. Knox, sir. Clocks on fox, tick, clocks on knocks, talk. 6 bricks tick, 6 chicks talk. Oh, do this. So much easier. All right. A little closer. All right, here we go. We're gonna skip this one. Here's an easy game to play. Here's an easy game to play. Here's an easy thing to say. New socks, 2 socks, who sucks, who sucks, who sues, who sucks, who sews, who sucks, who sees, who sucks with the new sock. Got me! As far as we waited. Alright, it's page 19. Page 19, chat. That's the record to beat. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you all have a very hip-hop evening. My name is David. And I make the Maximum Mediocrity podcast. We interview people. I think I can stop with the beat. We interview people that aren't famous but should be. Man, I'm just chilling here now. Just my 1 minute left.
All right. Thank you. Oh God, there's the echo. Okay.
Oh, you hear it?
Yeah. All right. Yeah, later, buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right. We will be back in just a minute with some horror movie night, but I just have a couple more videos for the charity that I'm going to play real fast. This first video is actually a video from Megan's husband that he recorded while she was away at the hospital. So I'm going to play that. You'll see the video for the GoFundMe, and then we'll be back with some horror movie night. If I can find where his video is. Oh no. Oh no. What did I do wrong? Shit balls. Hold on one more second. There it is. Oh, it will still not let me play this video. I spent 2 hours trying to convert it. All right, I'm gonna try one more thing because he took the time to film this. I want to actually play it. Sorry, guys, the fun of technical difficulties. It wouldn't be a Matt Kelly live stream without one of them. Where is he at? Of course, his video is in the one spot that I can't fucking find. There it is. All right. All right, I don't think this is going to work, and I apologize to Jason. There's no way for me to play this video, and that's very upsetting. So I'm just going to play a video of Meg instead. And that won't work either. All right, we're just going to play the GoFundMe thing. Sorry, everybody.
I couldn't say I believed in the plan. I wouldn't say that I understand. These feet I stand on give me a safe place to land. But I'll never let go again. It's a trick of the mind, seeing into futures unmet. We never know the kinds of people and the life that lies ahead. But is it ever enough to make the choice to stay and fight for the unlit light? For the splinter light coming through in everything. Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. And in the moments when you're breathless and you're drowning underneath the weight of broken dreams, if there's a single thing I learned from all my suffering, it's that it's never fair. But it doesn't have to take you under. Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. Even if you don't see it, I know there is a reason. Even if you don't feel it, I know you should keep breathing. Is there virtue in this pain? Is there something here to gain? I could say I believed in
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Hey, sorry.
Feels like just 2 days ago we were recording together as well.
For sure. Yeah, sorry. I tossed you up first because I was still trying to get this. So I was like, maybe I could just do a screen share. And it's like, oh, we don't have the permission to share your screen right now. And I'm like, I don't even fucking know anymore. I've given up. Given up all hope, Scott. But yes, to answer a message that you just texted me, that is Meg singing on the GoFundMe video. That was
Voice of an angel.
Dude, it says in the video too that was if you were reading the whole story, basically she has this chronic pain and the Lyme disease, and it actually like numbed out half of her body. And that was just on one day. She was like, I think I can sing, and like recorded that song during like one particular day that she felt like she could do it. And that's basically for the last 7 years, that's been the process to finish her full length album, is like on the day that she feels like she has the ability to get a song out, she'll do it, and then it pretty much puts her out for weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great.
I mean, like, so I knew the story because, you know, you had mentioned her to me through messages and things before. And then, you know, when you explained what you wanted to do for the live stream, like I understood the concept, I understood the story, but I hadn't heard anything that she had done. And man, it is just, I mean, if anybody listening or watching has not had their heartstrings pulled by that song, man, that is just absolutely gorgeous song.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear the rest of the full length.
Yeah, and I'll probably play, since I can't get these last two videos to play, which is unfortunate. I will I'll at least try to get one of the songs that I played earlier to play afterwards, because yeah, she's got some great stuff out there. But we are here representing Horror Movie Night, but we're not going to do your typical Horror Movie Night episode, because if you're a donator over at our Patreon page, we do a weird little segment called soundtracking, where you and I break down a movie soundtrack. And with it being prom season, which also may or may not have led to a cover that my buddy just recently dropped today. Just speculating.
No, that was complete coincidence. We can talk about it.
Yeah, you did a 50s rock version of what, not just an Atari song. I am a fan of early Ataris, but a song that I, for many years, I think I said this on another Patreon episode, have declared what I think is the old pop punk song, San Dimas High School Football Rules.
So, you know, it's just so funny because I was, for people that aren't part of the Patreon, I don't know if it was at this point the last thing that came out on Patreon, but relatively recently, within the last 2 or 3 things that we've released for our patrons, you and I did the Cleveland.com 100 best punk songs of all time, and you read it to me, and I reacted, and San Dimas was on that, and again, I don't think that it is the biggest song the Ataris ever did, but it's definitely the best big song they ever did. Not my favorite, but I do love it very, very much. So I did for the uninitiated, I, over the last 2 years, I guess at this point, I have sporadically been putting out Punk Goes 50s. So it's pop punk songs that I have targeted as you know, they would work as a 50s rock and roll song. And I started with Saturday Night by the Misfits, the Michael Graves era Misfits for the purists out there. And that has garnered something like 60,000 views on YouTube, which, I mean, I know that's not a lot for normal people, but for me, who usually gets like 200, 300 views on YouTube for my shit, for that to catch fire like it has in the last 2 years, with literally me not doing anything. It's literally like Brazilians being like, I love this, come to Brazil.
Well, Scott, when are you going to just jump in a plane and go to Brazil?
Probably not soon, but because I hate flying. But anyway, that's the most recent song I did, was the Atari San Dimas High School Football Rules. That has literally nothing to do with the live stream today. It just, I got it. I had been working on it by the time I was almost done with it by the time you and I did that Patreon episode, is what I was getting at. And in typical fashion, it took me about 5 minutes to explain that to you. So anyway, we're here to talk about the American Pie soundtrack.
Yeah, the American Pie soundtrack, the great 90s prom film. I had a manager at one point who grew up in Long Beach. He's told me many stories about like going to house parties where like Sublime and No Doubt were like playing before they were like signed or anything. Like, he grew up in that scene, and he told me that the greatest pop punk compilation that has ever been made was the American Pie 2 soundtrack.
We're off by one movie, though.
We're off by one movie, but I do think that both this soundtrack and then that soundtrack are a nice time capsule of a time of music that both you and I were actively listening to this type of music for the most part.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
so
Well, I guess
this is a weird one because we've got the two pieces that I want to cover. We'll knock our way through the actual soundtrack, which is good. It has its good parts, it has its bad parts. But then when you go through the songs that are in the movie that didn't make it to the soundtrack, holy hell, is it just like my high school playlist? Like,
yeah. And I have a I'm sure that I've mentioned this on Horror Movie Night because we've been doing it for 350 episodes at this point. 7 years plus the 2 years you and I were doing Reddit Horror Club before that. My previous thesis about movies is that anytime a cat shows up, they have to have a cat go meow, or else there's no cat in the movie, because apparently people don't know what cats sound like without a sound effect. My newest thesis is that there is no notable 90s era teen flick without a ska song in it.
Yep, I think that's a good theory. All right, let's dive into this because it's a while until we get to that ska song.
Yeah, it takes a minute.
This bad boy kicks off with a song by Third Eye Blind called New Girl, not to be confused with the Tony Hawk song that you know and love by the Suicide Machines.
Yeah.
And it's all right. I feel like this is the second time that we've had a pretty all right Third Eye Blind song show up on a soundtracking episode that's like not just a song off of the self-titled album.
Do you think that this was a B-side off of self-titled? Because
I feel like
think
it has
was.
to be. I think
it
it
sounds like it was a B-side from the self-titled.
Because remember the other one was it no, it wasn't The Craft. It would have been the Varsity Blues soundtrack had
Varsity
a song
Blues,
on
yeah.
it that we're like, oh, this song's pretty good too.
This one's not as good as the Varsity Blues song, but they are definitely both B-sides.
Oh, for sure. It's not bad, but I want to jump right into track 2. Tonic is a band I've always had mixed feelings of, but I would put my money down that this is the best song they've ever written and recorded.
This is definitely their best song. I mean, I liked Tonic in high school, and then but Megan, so for the uninitiated, that's my wife, she loved Tonic, and so when we first started dating, she was like, you don't have the Tonic albums, like you need to get the Tonic albums. And so I downloaded the first two, and I don't know if there's anything after that, doesn't matter, not relevant to the story. But You Wanted More is just like
everything's right. Everything is right in this song.
It's one of the best rock riffs, like alt rock riffs from the 90s that no one talks about. They're so tight. That band is so tight.
I think that this is one of the songs I talk about this on One Hit Thunder more than I do on Horror Movie Night, but like this is one of those songs where every piece of this song is catchy, right? Like it's got a great guitar riff. The verses like that, love is like he's just reading like that,
and
famous
the lyrics are great
wedding.
Too.
Yeah, like but then you get to that chorus where it's like that you want it more, like it's so good, and the orchestration that comes into the like it is just a well-produced song from the first note.
The whole album, that's off their second album, and I am a dumb shit because I didn't write down what the name was of that album, and I should know off the top of my head because of my wife. But anyway, that whole record is just
sugar,
very well produced. I mean, like I don't listen to it very often, but in the springtime, right about now, that this is prime time for listening to that Tonic record and the self-titled Vertical Horizon record. No, I'm sorry, it's not self-titled. It's
Everything You Want, I think.
Everything You Want. Yeah, like those two records are just interlocked in my mind. They should have gotten one of those Vertical Horizon songs on this record too.
They should have. I mean, they got pretty close with one of these artists. I would say that they were definitely in the Vertical Horizon camp. Friend of mine, but still, we follow this bad boy up though with fucking the kings of pop punk, Blink-182, Mutt. I believe this is before the album even came out. This was the first time most of us ever got to hear the song Mutt, and I mean it's one of those songs where it just feels so appropriate for the movie. It's also one of the few songs that I distinctly remember when this song
part,
plays in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Because Blink makes a cameo during this song.
Oh, is it?
It's when Jim's running. This is the song that plays when Jim is running from his house to his friend's house to watch the Nadia video. And it cuts to Blink 182 watching
with
the
monkey
video
on the shoulder. And yeah. Okay.
Which, fun fact, if you watch the closing credits to American Pie, I'm sure you don't. But if you do, the band is listed as, it says the punk band as played by Mark Hoppus, Tom DeLonge, and Scott, even though it is 100% Travis in the background.
Yeah. Weird.
I think they just were like, shit, who was in the band? Grab their latest album and just write down who's on the liner notes. And since this was before Enema of the State, they just wrote down the Dude Ranch liner notes.
Which is just, that's incredible. Also, I told you that I was going to try to rewatch American Pie for this, just for my own,
I told you maybe
state.
not.
And I decided that it was probably better to leave it in the past. But I've never told you this story because it's never come up. But my buddy Eric and I were dead set on going to see American Pie in theaters because it came through. I want to say it came through in like June or something like that. It was, and then it came back, or it was like it got an extended release because it was so popular. And
this was the sleeper hit of 1999. No one expected this movie to be like, they thought like, oh, it's a cheap movie, so it'll make back its profits. But I mean, they did, because it was an R-rated teen comedy. They're like, these don't make money. Yeah.
And that's the whole point of this story, is that Eric and I were going to go see it at the theater, and we went to go see it. And it was something like a 5:30 or a 6 o'clock showing. And the lady wouldn't let us in. And I was almost 18, and my buddy Eric was not. I don't think he was 18 yet. No, he was a couple months younger than me. And she wouldn't let us in, and I was like, fine. And so I walked away, and she was like, I love you. Like, lady, you are 50 years old. Calm the fuck down. I wasn't that upset. But I remember that because I didn't get to see it until it came out on video, on VHS. And
I got to tell you a wild story about this too, right?
Give it.
I remember, so the summer of or I guess this must have come out.
This would have been summer of 2000, actually.
So, okay, so maybe it was,
because I would have turned 2000 and I would have turned 18 in 2000, August of 2000. So it must have been.
I'm on the wiki page right now. When did this come out? July 1999. Okay.
Oh, damn. I was really reaching for that, Ben. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
Okay, so this had to have been before it was available on DVD or I guess VHS at the time. So it was early in the fall. I'm in 8th grade. Oh, God. And I'm in art class. And, like art class, it's like, these giant, or at least my art class was always these giant square tables where there'd be like 6 to 8 of you per table, kind of spread out across the room. And our art teacher was kind of cool. She was like, go sit with whoever your friends are. Like, I'm not going to like give you assigned seats. Like, creating art's supposed to be fun. You should be sitting around people that you're having fun creating art with, kind of attitude, which is like, I love that. So I was sitting with my buddy Justin, whose parents took him to see American Pie, which is like fucking wild that the summer of 7th grade, his parents took him to see this, and he's telling us everything about it. He's like, guys, it is so good. And he's telling us everything. So when this thing came out on VHS, like, you know how we talk about like when we were kids and people would tell us about horror movies on the playground and you'd build up this whole, like, that was me. Like, by the time I was watching this movie for the first time, it was like, it could have been the biggest piece of shit ever made, but it was so built up in my head that it was not going to be anything but the best thing I'd ever sat down and watched. And I'm almost done the video that I'm trying to do for Geekscape about the franchise, because this whole franchise has a really nostalgic place in my heart. And I think a big element of it, part of my thesis, is that there are all these teen flicks that we love. Can't Hardly Wait, 10 Things I Hate About You, She's All That, but none of them, like, every single one of them, it fades to black and that's the end of the story. But like with American Pie, we like followed these characters through like college and weddings and like and high school reunions, and we were at the right age where it was kind of either the mirror of exactly what we were going through at that time, or what was just a year or two away from us at every time. So like I saw American Reunion a year before my high school reunion. Like I saw American Wedding probably like a year before my friends started getting married. Like it was this weird thing where it was like these movies, it's not even about the quality of the movies for me. It's about the fact that they connect to these, they bring up these actual things that happen in my own life because they're so intertwined. It's wild. I forget who I was talking to, but they're like, there is like a very specific generation where these movies mean everything to them because of that. And anybody younger or older than that, just it doesn't hit and it doesn't mean anything to them. Like you pretty much only watch it and see the fallacy of them and nothing else.
Fallacy is the right word too.
But yeah, so let's bounce beyond the Blink song that like is
Oh,
not.
by the way, a great song. He took the seat off his own bike because the way it felt. So much mileage from that line itself.
So then we get into Sugar Ray, Glory.
Ugh.
Not so. Sugar Ray is such a strange band because there's like 3 different versions of Sugar Ray out in the ether, and this is leaning towards the Sugar Ray that they were moving away from at this point. I feel like.
Yeah, this had to have. Was this on?
This was
RPM?
Not on any of their albums. I can tell you that because I own all
B-side
of them.
from that record then.
Yeah, because this is definitely like at this time, I'm trying to think 1999. See, that's what's wild though. 1999, I'm pretty sure 1498 or 1459 has already come out. And that was already them being like, let's just keep doing what Fly sounded like.
Yeah.
But this is definitely like sounds like it could have been on like Lemonades and Brownies or whatever the album that I actually really like, the one that has Fly on it.
Isn't that called RPM? Or is
no,
that
the opening track is RPM.
Well,
I can't
whatever.
remember what the hell
I was
called.
close.
Whatever. But I actually do really like that album. But I like nu metal a lot more than you do.
Yes,
and man,
you
that is a
do.
nu metal ass album.
Yeah.
With a ska song in the or a reggae song in the middle.
Yeah. The 90s were wild.
Dude, insane. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. It's a metal era Sugar Ray song. It is what it is. Now a band that I've never heard of. Have you ever heard of Super Transatlantic?
No. And this is the first and last time I'm ever going to listen to them. It's not a bad song. The song is called Super Down for the uninitiated. And it's fine, but I am not a 90s alt rock guy. You know, after I was being so effusive about Tonic, you know, I and Vertical Horizon, I guess that I'm just very picky.
You know what though? The best thing I can say about this song by Super Transatlantic, who is, side note, one of the only 2 bands on the soundtrack that do not have a hyperlink on the American Pie wiki page, is that it certainly sounds like the background music playing in a teen flick.
Oh yeah.
like
then they did their job, you know, like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not super memorable.
Like I don't know for sure, but I would bet money that this song plays during an aerial shot panning down through the campus towards where our characters are sitting. Like that
it could literally be an aerial shot of the campus of a high school in any of the movies that came out between 98 and 2002.
100%. But you know, friend of mine, Dishwalla, they're on this soundtrack.
Man, just got something on your nose, buddy. Is that brown?
No, I really like Dishwalla, which is I think the only reason how I became friends with their bassist Scott is because when we talked about them on One Hit Thunder, I would not allow Chris to fully besmirch the good name of Dishwalla.
Well, and this song is a good, it's a nice slice of alt rock from the late 90s. I love the ahs, you know, like it's got things to enjoy about it. It's just, again, you gotta be in the mood for this style to really enjoy it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then we're just bouncing from one hit wonder artist to another one that I love, with Dan Wilson of Semisonic shows up to do Good Morning Baby with I am not going to be able to pronounce this girl's name. Bika Runga?
I wrote it down as well. Oh no, I didn't
write it. Runga.
Oh, Bik Runga. Yeah, because she has another song later.
She has a much better song later than this.
We'll get there. Because I didn't think it. So you are definitely more familiar with Semisonic's catalog than I am. does every song sound the exact same? Because I've heard 2 songs by them and they both sound the exact same.
Nah, a little bit. So
I guess if
no,
you know it's
you've
gonna
heard,
make you
you've
money,
heard
like,
3.
do it,
You've heard
but
3 by them because they have that song "Fascinating New Thing" in the 10 Things I
Oh,
Hate
okay,
About
so
You.
they have 2 different songs.
Yeah.
They literally have 2 songs. They have Fascinating New Thing, which is a fantastic song from 10 Things, and then they have Closing Time, which is a very important
Closing Time is, I mean, this is going to
song.
sound so fucking hipster, but Closing Time is arguably one of my least favorite songs in the Semisonic catalog.
It's not hipster, it's you are just way further down into their discography than anyone should be, but that's fine. That's
I think
the
I
Matt
played
Kelly.
you. No, I think there's another one, because I think I sent
No.
it to you one time and
No,
you're like,
Matt.
"Oh shit, I remember this."
I'm not even if it's true, I'm not going to accept it.
It's that song, singing in my sleep. They're like, do 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 do.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, I can hear you
What was
singing
that?
to me in my sleep.
Was that on another soundtracking? I feel
It
like
wasn't
that-
on another soundtrack. I have argued that is of all of
That's
the
their
like.
best song. That's their
Oh
best
yeah,
song.
I'm like, this is the best song that should have been a bigger hit from a one-hit wonder. Like Semisonic technically should not be a one-hit wonder because that song is so good that it should have been massive. They should be a lovely 2-hit wonder, just like the Spin Doctors.
One for each hand, left mic, right mic.
Exactly.
Camera 1, mic 1, mic 2. Anyway, let's go on to the next.
Shades Apart, Stranger by the Day.
So this gave me a serious The Stereo vibe.
I
mean,
hear
I
that.
liked it. It's kind of like just on the power pop side of pop punk, or maybe on the pop punk side of power pop, and I liked it a lot. But I truly couldn't hum it for you, and I probably would never listen to it again. But I didn't hate listening to it one time.
Yeah, they are from Jersey, according to the wiki page.
Do they live down the street from you, or
They're
what?
from Jersey. Let's see. Best known for their U.S. radio hit "Valentine," "Stranger by the Day," and their cover of the hit song "Tainted Love." They consider
You can't be famous for your cover of Tainted Love.
Yeah,
there are so many covers of Tainted Love. You cannot be famous for it.
Arguably, the most well-known version of Tainted Love, people don't even realize, is also a cover of Tainted Love.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that
like they're like, yeah, that 80s song, and I'm like, no, that song from the 60s that fucking rips.
Yeah, like no, that's what blows my mind about there's some song that's super popular on TikTok that samples the same song that was sampled in Fantasy by Mariah Carey in the 90s, which was a song from 1980.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that song sounds modern, and it's just because it keeps getting used over and over
That song
again.
keeps, who else sampled that song is Mark Morrison for Return of the Mac. That's also the background music for Return of the Mac is that Fantasy beat.
What?
Yeah.
That is insanity.
That song has been, I feel like that song has been the backdrop of more popular songs than the actual Tom Tom Club song that's
and it's because
the Tom Tom Club is a terrible name for a band.
Well, yes, and it was also, wasn't it a side project of the guy from the Talking Heads and his wife or something like that?
It might be. That sounds correct.
Yeah,
it's definitely a side project of somebody.
It's somebody famous doing a side project with their spouse, but that song is just amazing. And hearing it through the ages is just crazy. But then we go on to the popular subgenre called Teenage Dirtbag with Bachelor Number 1, Summertime. This song is trying so very hard to be Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus. And that song is lightning in a bottle,
But before Teenage Dirtbag, this predates Teenage Dirtbag.
But here's the question.
By like a year.
But also, was Wheatus a thing by then? Were they creating their sound? Is there any overlap? I don't know the answer to these questions. Ask the dude.
I was going to say, I do a podcast with the bassist from Wheatus.
I know.
And I can categorically say that I don't think they know who Bachelor Number 1 is.
Bachelor Number 1 doesn't even remember that they were Bachelor Number 1.
Oh my God, and they're from Philly. They're a power pop group from Philadelphia.
Well, how is there so much overlap with American Pie and Philly? It's a rhetorical question. I don't want to know the answer.
So
let's go on to a really good song after this.
Well, hold on a second. I
okay?
do want to tell you a quick story since you brought up Wheatus, and I do think that this is really funny. This came up on an episode of Weird Algorithm that probably won't even come out until later this summer because we recorded like 13 episodes already. But he talks about how he's like, you have no clue the amount of people who tell us that they discovered our band through American Pie. And then I have to explain to them that no, we were on the Jason Biggs movie that didn't make money.
What,
like,
Loser?
Yeah, he's like, Loser was a bomb.
Yeah.
He goes, we arguably provided we provided a more famous song than the movie that the song was in.
You know, and it would be even funnier if they were like, I loved you in Disturbed Behavior.
Yeah, because he's like, you have to think about it, you're watching the music video and it's like, there's Jason Biggs, who I know from American Pie.
Yeah.
And oh, look, there's also Mina Savory, who I also remember from American Pie. And they're at a prom together. This must be from American Pie. But no, it's from Loser, the movie that has no prom scene. So,
Yes. It's just, you know, I feel like Loser is the spiritual successor of American Pie.
I'll go on the record because I know that no one is defending Loser but me.
I'll defend Loser. I
really like Loser a lot.
Well, I haven't watched it nearly as recently as you. So,
oh yeah, because I watch it pretty much yearly. And all I'll say, hey, if you like classic films from the 60s, watch The Apartment and then rewatch Loser and realize that it is a remake of The Apartment.
You shouldn't remake The Apartment.
No,
you
shouldn't.
For a number of reasons.
For a number of reasons, but it follows the same beats of that movie.
It is exact. Yeah. Well, you blew my mind just then.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
But talking ska music, talking pop punk music. I mean, what band brought those two sounds together in such a beautiful way than Goldfinger?
You know, and I don't even like this song. I mean, I guess here's the thing is that there are a lot of Goldfinger songs I don't actively like, but Goldfinger is like pizza.
Yeah.
Even when it's bad, you're like, I got pizza, you know, like you're just
about that Beats life.
It is. You can't always be listening to Superman, and Goldfinger has a lot of albums. That's all I can say. I love Feldman. I love him so much. He's a great man. Kind of a prick, but like
great producer.
Great producer. And I love that he's vegan and has been vegan since before it was cool. But yeah,
he's got a great
Goldfinger
ear
like
for
pizza.
bands. How many amazing bands has he found? Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so now we're going to go back to Bic Rungla. And I understand, I'm sure I'm massacring this name every single time.
That's people watch for this.
But so here's the thing I'm going to say about this song.
Did you fall asleep listening to this song? Because
No, I love this song.
Of course you do. It's Lisa Loeb wannabe music.
Well, no, it's not even that. I literally love this song because it's like, oh, I remember the moment that this song is playing in the movie. So like when I hear the song, I think of the scene in the movie, and then I'm like, oh, this is like, listen, other teen flick from the same time that we talked about. This is no Farther Down by Matthew Sweet.
No.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't come anywhere close to some of these other iconic kind of slow jam closing credit or near closing credit songs that we've talked about. But because it's like, I hear this song, I see the swooping camera shot showing all of them after prom, like in their different situations. And then it puts me in that mind state of like, oh man, new beginnings, like going off to like go to college and etc., falling in love, all the emotions that the song was designed to make you feel in the scene that the song is playing. Because I've watched this movie like 100 times, it's like it immediately just pulls it all up. It's a very mediocre song, and I'm aware of it.
Yeah,
but
sitting through it just at my computer while I'm working was rough. I mean, like when it's in the middle of a movie that you enjoy because you are, 17 watching it or 20 watching it, whatever, with a bit of nostalgia, it's a way different experience than being like, huh,
Yeah, no, but she's huge in New Zealand, apparently. Her first 3 studio albums debuted at #1 in New Zealand.
I feel like you really keep bringing this back, thinking that this is an episode of One Hit Thunder, because
listen,
this might have been better with Chris.
She would have been on 0 Hit Thunder because I don't think she ever had a charting hit in the States. But Scott, we're not totally done with
This is
ska
my thesis.
music.
This song, next song, The Loose Nuts, Wishin'. My thesis right here is where it sprung from the Loose Nuts.
And
it dribbled out of the Loose Nuts.
The Loose Nuts, another band that has no hyperlink on Wiki.
Well, they don't deserve one. This is a great song, but I don't give a shit about what they did besides this. You know?
I was going to say, just further giving me evidence that this is a theory that I think Chris and I have also kicked around on the show, that every soundtrack, every compilation, everything, there's at least one artist who was just some local band that they gave an opportunity to. And I think Loose Nuts is that local band that was just given an opportunity, because this doesn't sound that far off from just demos that I have of unsigned Jersey ska bands that I saw circa like 2002.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't show up in the Pick It Up doc, but you know, it's all right. You know, it's all right.
But can we talk about this closing song, which I don't care how the rest of the song goes. Man with a Hex by the Atomic Fireballs, that kicks off with what can only be described as if Dickie Barrett decided to cover Dance Magic Dance from Labyrinth. Just the graveliest Boston accent, just doing that. You remind me of a man. And here, let me see if I'm correct about this. Hovering over here. Oh, Detroit. I was like, let me see where they're from. Because
Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit swing revival band, the Atomic Fireballs.
Truly the only band. You know, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in Detroit in 1998 when the Atomic Fireballs were playing clubs with nobody. There's no one doing fucking swing revival in 98 in Detroit.
So, all right. So now we're going to go real quick through all of the songs that appear in the movie, but didn't make it on the soundtrack. There's a lot of them, but Wiki was kind enough to also tell us where almost every one of these songs was located in the movie. So Scott, if you're ever wondering what the name of the fake porno song music that plays throughout the American Pie soundtrack, it's by the Sexorama Band, and the song is called Love Muscle, which I feel like has to be a made up band name for whatever the composer just didn't want to take ownership of this song.
I would write anything as anyone to write a song called Love Muscle. You know, like, and the fact that they didn't revitalize that song for Role Models when he's talking about Love Gun, you know, like, damn it.
I always think of I imagine being like the metalhead that you are, that you've watched Spinal Tap a handful of times.
Yep.
I always just think of one of my favorite scenes, possibly in any comedy, where Nigel is sitting by the piano playing this beautiful piano piece, and he's talking about his love of the D minor chord, and he wants to write a whole record that's just kind of sad and in the key of D. And then he goes, "This song is really beautiful. What's it called?" And he goes, "Oh, this one's called Lick My Love Pump." It's such a good setup to a punchline.
You know, this is
just
Spinal Tap. People don't appreciate how much mileage we get out of that.
Oh, for
you
sure.
know,
they were. I forget. I've heard the stories that like when that movie came out, like dudes in like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden insisted that someone in the writer's room was like a former roadie, because he's like, the amount of stuff that you have in there that actually happened on our tours of like getting lost backstage or like pranks or all like ordering a prop that came in way too small, like all of it is like perfect. And the amount of like careers, like you could argue that we wouldn't have a Schitt's Creek without This Is Spinal Tap, because it was kind of the first ever like shot like a mockumentary, pseudo improvised film, and like that kind of bleeds into SCTV stuff, and like there's this whole like weird path that it goes down. All right, so let's get to some of the real songs that we got here, because some of these, I mean, Scott, jump into your time machine to 1999. Maybe not on this specific song. The first one they have listed is The Ventures' Walk Don't Run, which
great
is
song though.
Great song. It's a song that plays when Finch has to use the bathroom. But then here we go. Let's strap in. We've got Bare Naked Ladies, 1 week. Plays twice in the movie, once during a party scene, and then during the end when Jim's dad watches him as he does a strip tease for a webcam. classic 1990 hit. Brian Jonestown Massacre, Going to Hell, plays in the background before Stifler's Party. Here we go. Third Eye Blind, Semi-Charmed Life. I mean,
they got
anthem
their
of-
money from the 90s teen flicks.
Oh, for sure. Also, Hole, Celebrity Skin, arguably the best song that Hole has ever recorded. Everclear, Everything to Everyone, when Everclear was probably at the peak of peaks.
Yeah, and Everclear had so much for the Afterglow and Losers, so this really is it really is a spiritual successor to American
It really
Pie.
does connect well. Harvey Danger,
they play, don't they?
Yeah, he goes to a Everclear concert.
That's right.
Harvey Danger, Flagpole Sitta, appears when Jim is trying to set up his webcam. Let's see. Simon and Garfunkel, Mrs. Robinson, plays when Stifler's mom seduces Finch. Etta James, At Last, plays when Jim walks over to Naughty in slow motion. Nora Jones, The Long Day Is Over. I just really like Nora Jones, so I want to bring that one up.
We know.
Marvin Gaye, How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You, which is technically, I don't think the actual song appears.
Not the song, but they have to give him credit for it.
Yep, they sing it quite a bit. And then probably one of my favorite jokes still in the movie, Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me. The song doesn't appear in the movie, but it is covered by what they say on the commentary track was their joke on how shitty prom bands are, where he's like, the commentary track for American Pie is very revealing as they just talk about their own high school experiences and like the influences that they pulled into it. And they were just like, if you've ever gone to a prom with a band, it's like stupid theme, band dressed to match theme, playing mediocre covers for the next 4 hours. So they like really wanted to capture, like, they're like, we want it to make a movie where the whole buildup is like, we're gonna lose our virginity at prom, but like also to depict that prom kind of sucks. And like
it does. Everybody listening is above prom age, and they all can concur that prom is fucking dumb.
And that's the thing that I do applaud is, of all the teen flicks, American Pie is probably the only one that really does not go at all in an effort to make prom seem cool. Like, it just looks like a lame, miserable experience versus like Can't Hardly Wait, where it's like, oh look, we've got Letters to Cleo playing here, and everybody.
That was 10 Things, wasn't it?
What I said.
No, is that Drive Me Crazy?
That's 10 Things.
No, that's 10 Things.
Drive Me Crazy has the Donnas.
The Donnas, that's right. Oh man. See, that's what I wanted for prom. That's why I loved fucking 90s teen comedies. I wanted that. And I mean, I knew that prom was going to suck. But yeah, anyway, we're talking about American Pie. We got to focus, my man. I am just pulling us away.
But yeah, if you remember the scene, it shows up at the prom and it's just this band. The theme of the prom is Arabian Nights.
Yep.
So it's like, there's just like random Egyptian decor everywhere for no explainable reason. And the whole band is dressed as like pharaohs and sultans and stuff. And they're just up there doing this awful cover of Don't You Forget About Me. And it's just, you look at it and you're like, this is the worst. And I feel like it's the perfect song because it's also just like, hey, we're trying to do a throwback to those R-rated 80s films. Here's the most iconic song from an R-rated 80s movie. Don't You Forget About Me from Breakfast Club. Man,
wasn't that a cover too?
No, I'm pretty sure that was the
Simple Minds was originally the ones that did it. Okay, I couldn't remember.
So. You know, just to pop the fist in the air, but yeah, that was, you know, prom season, promedies, a phrase that you've introduced into my vernacular.
Did I come up with that?
I think you or Megan did. You were like, yeah, man, it's promedy season. And for years, I honored promedy season. Probably right up until
you still
the pandemic.
It's only the second week of April right now. Or the first week. That's the first full week that's ending. And we got 3 weeks to get our promedy on. I mean, you can watch all the teen comedies and then you can go into things like Prom Night 2.
Yeah.
Which is really where I'm living.
Brightest Bro kind of has a good idea too. He said, my senior prom, I skipped totally. I took the money that would have went and bought an Xbox, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and ordered a pizza. It was way better than prom, according to my friends that went.
So my senior prom, so my junior prom, I took a girl that I liked I asked her like way in advance, like a dumb shit. And then we weren't like compatible as people. And I was like still gonna take her. And then she danced with a friend of mine all night to try and make me jealous, but I didn't care, and that made her mad. And then she like dated him, and then they broke up, and she got pregnant with someone else, and then they married each other later in life. So you're welcome, Mel. But then my senior prom, I went stag because the girl that I was quote unquote in love with at the time, I mean, it's, you know, high school love doesn't, I don't know, it barely counts. But she, I was quote unquote not religious enough for her parents, and so she could not go with me. So I went stag, and then my senior prom picture is me with 13 of my female friends all around me, and I did it because I was like, I'm here by myself. I want to memorialize all of my friends.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "You're such a player, Scott," and I'm like, "No, that's not."
I
Not
think
what I was going for at all.
I think I've told this story before, but so I've got a few things. I think I told you the story about my old roommate Schropp when he did prom. His mom was a seamstress, so she made custom vests for all of his friends. So like one was like a checkerboard thing, whatever. But instead of getting a picture with their prom dates, they also just did a photo of all of them together. But in lieu of canes, they got giant plastic candy canes that you would put out front of your house at Christmas time. And the photo was just all of them with the candy canes over their shoulders as they all were popping Mentos at the same time, as a parody of the Mentos commercial to celebrate their goofiness as friends, blah, 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 blah. But also you and I have a similar prom story, and I always feel bad telling this prom story because I do think that this person was a sweet person and I was in the wrong in this. But I asked my friend Sarah to go to prom with me because her and I were really close, and I knew that she had a boyfriend, but I also knew that it was probably the person I was going to have the most fun at prom with, and that was more important to me, was just like go and have a good time. And she was like, I would love to go with you, but I have to run it past the boyfriend. I don't know if he would approve it, so like please don't wait.
Did her boyfriend go to a different school or something?
They were sophomores while I was a senior. So she was like,
so he couldn't go because you could only go juniors. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you could only bring a senior. Like seniors got passes, and then whoever they brought as their date. This was for the senior prom. So she's like, I don't know if he'll say yes to that, but like, you know, I don't want you to wait on me in case he says no, because I can't even. He was like out of town. She's like, I'll have to ask him when he comes back, type thing. And then in the meantime, a very awkward scenario happened where I was hanging out with a different girl named Sarah, and I was hanging out with a friend who was like, "Hey, do you have a date to prom yet?" And he asked me in front of this other Sarah, and I said, "Well, I'm not really sure." And he goes, "Why don't you just take Sarah?" And then it was like this awkward, like, sure, if she wants to go, like, type thing. So I ended up going with her, but it was like 2 days later, the first girl I asked was like, "Hey, my boyfriend said it's totally fine for me to go," but I wasn't going to like cancel on this other girl that had already like agreed to go with me. But the whole prom, I was like, man, I wish that that I was going with other Sarah. Like and it was nice. But it was like the whole time while I was having fun, I knew that it could have been even more fun if it was like with someone. I mean, the prime example is other Sarah I literally went to the wedding of last year, and the Sarah that I actually went to I haven't spoken to in 15 years. So it's like I would have probably rather gone with a person who's continued to be in my life for the last 20 something years.
If it's any consolation, I think you're putting prom on a pedestal.
I know
prom is fucking dumb and expensive.
Well, so I think more so was like our school went all out for post prom, which was like a full scale lock in at the school. So like prom ended at say 11 o'clock, and then while you were at prom, the parents of the seniors would literally take over the school and like redesign it into like all types of crazy shit.
Oh, your mom loved it, right?
Oh, my mom was the head of the committee for all 4 years that we were students there. But like they would literally lock you in the school. Like you'd show up, they'd lock you in, and you were there until sunrise. And it would be like for Mayan, it was like around the world was the theme. And like every room that was available to you. So like the gymnasium, the cafeteria, even the bathrooms, they decorate it to look like different things. So like you went into the men's bathroom and it was designed like the Amazon jungle with like vines dangling from everywhere and like vines wrapped around all the toilets and stuff like that. I know that I helped out one year where the theme was Harry Potter and they literally made the entire school look like Hogwarts. Like they found like fishing line to have like candles hanging from the ceiling in the cafeteria. And like they would hire like really talented, like I wouldn't even say artists, like people who could build shit. And they made when you walked in the school, it was literally like the 3 4/4, whatever. Like it was like a wall being ripped apart that you could walk through. And then the first thing you saw was you were inside Hogwarts Express train station. And then you would go to like the different areas of the building and they were all different things of Hogwarts. There was a Star Wars themed one where it was like they had people literally build, or it was sci-fi, had people build all types of stuff. And I got to participate in that one. They had me and a bunch of other people come back to the school, and in the auditorium we were screening old black and white movies, and they got a giant cardboard cutout of the Mystery Science Theater 3000 robots that were up against the screen, so it looked like the silhouette. And then we were in the back with microphones commentating over top of the old movies. Like they go all out, and those things were always fun and cool to look forward to. But like, I really didn't have anyone to talk to. Like, I felt bad because it's like, this person's not even like really part of my friend group. So they're like at this post prom, but they're having to kind of be a tag along. We don't have anything to talk about. And she's kind of just stuck like hanging out with me and my weird ass nerdy friends. And it was all a bad situation versus like if it was the person who was also part of my circle of friends. And like that's like the stuff where I feel bad about. Man, we went way off the rails at this point, and that's all on me. But also, I mean, I guess it makes sense. We're talking about high school. This is for my high school friend, Meg.
Yeah.
I'm about to do something really fucking scary, which is that I'm actually going to sing a song on a live stream, which, dear God, like, my apologies, audience. Give me 1 second.
Well, Matt, I think that it would be a good idea for you to drop me off instead. Drop me out of the.
But so you don't commentate on how bad this is? I think that's probably a good idea.
Don't want to take anything away from you doing.
So here's the thing. I'm doing this song. I will keep you on to explain what I'm doing. So Meg and I, shortly after college, had a cover band, which was very creatively called Meg and Matt. And we would just play like local bars, and our big spot was a sushi spot. Where they would let us play for like 2 hours, just a 2-hour set of cover songs, and then they give us 10% of whatever they made during that 2 hours. And one of the things that made Meg and I really, really good friends was our mutual love of the movie Harold and Maude and Cat Stevens in general. So we always would end the shows doing Sing Out, Sing Out. I literally probably haven't played this song since back then.
Oh, no, you didn't practice?
Oh, I practiced a little bit today, but
all right, that's close enough.
I'm gonna play this, and this will probably be the last time I play it until my duet partner is well enough to come and sing it with me again. And also, she usually sang lead, so my apologies to everybody watching. Please keep donating if you haven't. But yeah, Megan, this one's for you. Scott, I'll drop you off real quick. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can even do this with the chords where they're at. Okay, here we go. Oh no! Of course I did. You couldn't write this. All right, I've got a backup thing. Thank God. The pure comedy that the first strum, I got my fucking pick stuck in the guitar. All right, here we go. Well, if you want to sing out, sing out. And if you want to be free. 'Cause there's a million things to be. You know that there are. And if you want to live high. And if you wanna live low, 'cause there's a million ways to go, you know that there are. You can do what you want, the opportunity's on. You can do it today. You can do it today. Oh God. You can do what you want. Jesus. The opportunity's on. And if you find a new way, you can do it today. You can make it all true. You can make it undo. You see, it's easy. You only need to know. Well, if you want to say yes, say yes. And if you want to say no, say no. 'Cause there's a million ways to go. You know that there are. And if you want to be me, be me. And if you want to be you, be you. 'Cause there's a million things to do. You know that there are. You can do what you want. The opportunity's on. You can make a new way. And you can do it today. You can make it all true. Or you can make it undo. You see, it's easy. You only need to know. And you can wanna sing out, sing out. And if you wanna be free, be free. 'Cause there's a million things to be. You know that there are. 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 So that was the last part of this stream. I'm going to try one last time to try to get this video to play. So let me see if I can make this happen. Give me 1 second. Share screen, share screen, share. Okay, there's no way that I can get those videos to play, which is a bummer. So I'm going to end with the video that we played a couple times, the video from Meg's GoFundMe. Enjoy this beautiful song from Meg and go and donate to the GoFundMe.
I couldn't say I believed in the plan. I wouldn't say that I understand. These feet I stand on give me a safe place to land. But I'll never let go again. It's a trick of the mind, seeing into futures unmet. We never know the kinds of people and the life that lies ahead. But is it ever enough to make the choice to stay and fight?